Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast. You are tuned in to Real Talk with Nat. I'm Natalie Naman, your podcast host, and we are on episode 7 today. And I have my fabulous, fabulous friend, business partner, guest, all the things, Lucia Craddock. Hi, my love.
Hello, my darling. Thank you for having me here. It's
You
quite
are.
apt that we're doing this, and I'm number 7 actually. 7 is a number of spirituality, and we're talking about. I'll
Yes.
let you know. Won't do a spoiler what we're going to be talking about, but a
But
little
that's what we're
clue.
going to be talking about.
That's what we're going to be
We're going to
talking
be talking
about.
all about your transformational journey in your spiritual realm, your spiritual world. And before we get into that, let's just have a little intro into yourself. Whatever you feel like you want to let people know about you, it's all yours. Off you go.
Thank you. It's so nice to connect with you all. I've been listening to Nat's podcast and absolutely love it. So it's an honor to be here as one of the guests. So my name is Lucia Craddock. I'm a manifestation and vision coach. What else do you need to know? I live in Essex. Do you want to do a full like?
Yeah, tell us everything.
Yeah.
Tell us everything.
Yeah, so I'm living in Essex, originally from Devon. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here and share my journey. It's not often I get to, a lot of the time I'll be on business podcasts, so it's nice that I can actually talk more about my spiritual journey because that's led me to where I am and what I do, and it's been the core foundations of me
Yeah.
and who I am today. So it's a treat to be here talking about it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And you've been such a big part of my spiritual journey over the last. So I was trying to figure this out when I was writing the description on Instagram. I was like 7 or 8 years. It's been quite a while now. And obviously we connected through various different purposes a while back, but we've definitely started working together throughout the years on my spiritual self. And I've attended some of the retreats that you've done and all sorts of other things, which we'll talk about later. But what I want to know, because I don't really actually know the answer to this, where did your spiritual journey really begin? If you can go way back.
Yeah, so it actually began in 2015. I want to say 2000, no, I'm so bad with dates.
A while
Two
ago.
thou- No, 2005. 2015 was when I met my husband. 2005 is where we're going back to. So
Hmm.
2005, I started work as a TV presenter on a show. First of all, I was on a show called Party People, and again, I fell into it all. And I was on that show for about 4 or 5 months. It was like an interactive daytime TV. And then I got called into the office, and the kind of the kind of not owner, but the head production person was like, "Your name keeps coming up, and we want to put you on our flagship show." I was like, "Brilliant! What is it?" And they're like, "It's called Psychic TV." I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." It was definitely like a step up because it was their flagship show. And yeah, I'm always like, yes, this feels good. I'm here for it. So I started working on that TV show, and I'd never been trained as a presenter. It wasn't something like, I want to be in TV. I completely fell into it. And looking back on it now, I have ADHD. I've been diagnosed 5 years ago. And it really made life make sense to me. And now I understand why TV presenting was such a natural fit because my brain works in like so many different directions at the same time. And live TV is intense.
Mm.
So you've got the production talking in your ear, you're interviewing somebody, you're listening to what they're saying, and then you're having to think about the reply that you're going to say to them while listening to somebody else and planning on what they're going to say all at the same time and live and look kind of like you're there, you're not going, "Oh, what's happening?" You've got to be present and engaging. And I just find it so natural. People are like, "Oh my God, how do you do that?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. That's just my brain just does that naturally." I'm always thinking, having full conversations in my head. And so,
Yeah.
and it was very much because I wasn't like, "Hello and welcome to," I was like, "Oh my God." And I was like a sponge. So
Mm.
my job was to interview the psychics, and they were all very, very different. And it blew my mind. I was like, "Oh my God, how did you do that?" Like, "Oh my God, did you guys just see that?" So I was literally like this excitable puppy, like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
That's how I presented. And I also have dyslexia, and it comes out verbally. So you'll know if you watch any of my stuff, sometimes I'll get my words middled up. There you go. Muddled
Yeah.
up. Because my brain's working ahead as well. So the dyslexia and the ADHD together, I'll say a word that's actually 4 words ahead sometimes. And I remember, so my mates used to watch it live and they were like, oh my God, I can't believe what you said tonight. I'm like, I have no idea because I'm just doing it live. And they were like, yeah, you said we're gonna go have a look at the website now. And my Devon accent coming through. And I was actually, when I met my husband, he Googled me, as you do. And he was like, you've come up in like the top 10 funniest things said on live TV.
No way. From
That didn't,
websites.
not that was not that. It was something completely different. And I was like, I didn't even know that. And it's not even there anymore. I tried to look for it since if you go and look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. But for me, I was so like, it opened my eyes up because I'd always been somebody, I didn't kind of fit in a box normally. I was brought up very religious. My mum's from Liverpool, the family are very Catholic. I got taken to Sunday school. But something didn't quite sit right with me. And all about life. I was like, we're here, we work, we die, and that's it. I was like,
Mm,
there must be more to life.
mm,
Like we are these amazing, intricate beings. Like everything is so perfectly orchestrated. Why are we here? What is the purpose to life? I was quite a big thinker. And I
yeah.
was like, don't buy this. We're here, we're gone, we work, we die. Like something's not adding up. You know, if you're good, this happens. If you're bad, that happens. It was all very, I don't know, it didn't feel a lot. I don't know. I know now alignment, but then I
Yeah.
wasn't really aware of that word alignment.
Something
Um,
was missing. You felt something was missing.
yeah, I was always like, something like I'm not buying in. Nothing kind of went. That's it.
Yeah.
When I started working on psychic TV, and this is way before, we go back 2005. This is before the internet, and we didn't have those resources really before. Even like the internet wasn't really a thing then. You didn't really have Google, so I was just like fascinated. And I was just asking. I was like, well, how about this and how about that? And when I started to learn about souls and that we have a soul and that our soul kind of in spirituality, there's different takes on it, I suppose. But what
Mm,
kind of my understanding was that, we have this soul and the soul is in our body. And when we pass, our soul, goes on and we have different lives. I started to learn about past lives and I was like, this makes sense to me because I'd always felt like certain things had triggered me before. And I've been like, I felt like I'd been there, like I remember doing a school play and it was like set in the 1920, not 20, so it's like the kind of, kind of said the four kind of when it was very like plaguey times,
yeah.
that whole I can't even think what era that is now.
I'm not
um
the person to tell you the answer to
but we
that.
did it and I really some streets I did it the other day and it was kind of that old East End, that kind of like Jack the Ripper time.
Yeah.
I remember like I just felt like I'd been there before, but it was weird. You couldn't describe
Okay.
it. And I remember in school learning about Aztecs, and I was just like, I feel like I've been there. I know this. I feel like something was resonating in me. So
Yeah.
when I started to learn about past lives, I was like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I was like, obviously, I'd lost a lot of people quite young as well. And the thought that they don't go on or that there's this
Mm,
heaven and they're all sat on this cloud again, it was all very much like, oh no, we'll never fully know the answers. But when I started to learn about like mediumship, that you could start to talk to people that have passed over, that we have this soul and that your soul goes on and we're here to learn and we're here to evolve as a soul. That's why there's a lot of
yeah.
suffering because we chose that in this time to evolve and to have, to experience every emotion, to go through everything. And that was like, okay, life is starting to make sense a little bit more to me now. And it was really like, okay, I get spirituality helped me understand life.
Yeah.
And
So
back
did
then it was books. So then I was just like a little bookworm. I was like, I need another book. I need another book. Like
yeah,
reading
just
this book and
learning.
that book and learning and questioning. And I got paid to basically research because I was like asking everybody, like, well, how does this work? Because it was live TV, we were governed by Ofcom. So there
Hmm.
were certain things you could say and you couldn't say. So you had that going in your head as well. Like, and they change it quite a lot because it was all spiritual. It's a bit like, we don't know what box to put you in. Like
Yeah.
one week we could say mediumship, and you could say like I'm getting this information from my guides, and then we weren't allowed to say that it was from your guides and it was from you, but it was
Right.
changing quite a lot. But yeah, so I would ask them a lot of questions. A lot of it to the concept of the show. It's still going to this day. Psychic Today, I think it's called now.
Mm.
So it was on. It had its own channel, but it went out on a lot of different platforms. It was a whole like day, so we had 4 or 5 different shows. Some in the afternoon, some in the evening. But the principle was I would interview, it was either 3 psychics, if it was a longer show, or one, some of the shows had one psychic. So we'd pick a theme and I would interview them, but people could text in and with a question to ask the psychic. And
Okay.
they would answer that. And so for me, and I always say, because I think a lot of people are scared of psychic readings. I think the
Mm.
James Bond, like you're going to get the death card and told you're going to die. It's like, eek, it's all a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But it was for me, it's very much about guidance. It's about reassurance, guidance, confirmation, clarity. And I always say you need to get, there's a lot of charlatans. I think every industry you get a lot of charlatans that give it a bad reputation. So obviously the ones that I worked with were so vetted, they had to go through so many processes, and not tests as such, but to validate that they had a gift and an ability.
Yeah.
I was working with some like the high level people, and then what they would say, they were like, "Yeah, who's John who's got the tattoo of a dragon on his right arm?" I'd be like, "What?
Oh
Like,
my
how am I
God.
gonna go in my mind?"
Yeah.
So there was like a whole, I was like literally like, oh, my eyes lit up, and I was just, yeah, I just loved it.
So
But
you
my,
learn all your initial learning came from interviewing these people. That's what
yeah.
first really opened your eyes to everything.
Definitely. I mean, one particular psychic was more into crystals, so we do a whole show about crystals. So I learned to learn about crystals. Some of them would work with angel cards, some were for astrology. So I worked with amazing astrologers. Some were more mediumship. Some worked with like empowerment. They were all quite different in their own personalities, but their own like modalities of working as well. A lot about ley lines. I started to learn about all these things. Some were more past life, and
Yeah.
part of job was to go and research. And when I wasn't on camera, I would go and get a reading, because people could phone in and then have a reading with the psychic. So
Hmm.
I would go on the phone lines, and I would start to phone the psychics as well and have readings. So I was
Okay.
getting all these readings and getting past life readings. And yeah, so much crazy stuff happened. It was just
Wow.
like, it was like a family, all the production, the psychics, and it was like, I get paid for this.
Yeah. How
It's
amazing.
brilliant. I got paid quite well. Yeah, for then it was well. And I worked 14 days a month. I chose when I wanted to work. So I said, "Oh, what's your availability next month?" And you would literally go in, have like loads of fun with everybody, and then you go home. It wasn't like I had to think about anything or do anything. And it was cushy. It was so cushy. But it opened that was the start of my real spiritual journey, because then what happened is the psychics also did development. So they
Okay.
hosted workshops. And then I started to go on a lot of their workshops as well. So I,
Okay.
I remember one of my teachers, the amazing Hazel Lee. She's brilliant. I love Hazel, so down to earth. And she hosted a weekend, like a psychic development weekend, and it was down in Devon. And I remember going there. By traveling down. By the time I traveled down there and got there, it was kind of late on the Friday. And you're in this like we're all having dinner, and you're with 20 odd people who you've never met before.
Hmm.
It's a little bit like, breaking the ice, a little bit daunting. And then we did, on the next day, we started to do the development. I remember right away, she gets you doing readings within like an hour, 2 hours.
Wow.
Like, here's the card, you do the reading, and and she's like, take the cards away. You don't need the cards, Lou. I'm like, I need the cards. And she's like, you're channeling it, you've got it. She's an amazing teacher, very much like no nonsense, get on with it.
Yeah.
She's great, like, which is one of the most amazing psychic mediums I've ever witnessed, ever. Like,
Wow.
the detail of that woman's crazy.
Yeah.
And then in the evening, we did a ghost hunt, because there was an old B&B, so it was quite haunted.
Yeah.
And there's literally like things flying. Hazel's like, call yourself a bloody ghost. That all, she's East End. She's like, is that all you got? And we're
Oh
like,
my God. You're
the
like, don't
phones are
trigger it.
ringing, all this stuff's happening. We're all like,
Oh my God.
yeah, some crazy stuff happening. And I'm like, you're not
Yeah.
scared? I'm bloody petrified, Lou, but I need to show them who's boss. So I'm like,
Yeah.
so it was
Wow.
crazy. But what happened then is, so this amazing, by the year, like the Saturday, you're all in the flow, and then Sunday you've got to go home.
Mm.
So I started to have this idea where it's like, I want to, and again, going back, this is 20 years ago now, oh my God. So 20 years ago, it wasn't mainstream.
No,
Like psychics, manifesting, spirituality is a lot more mainstream now than it was back then. Like a lot of
much
people,
more.
people would look at like you had two heads, or that you were
Yeah.
like, oh, I work psychic. They're like, oh, you're gonna read my mind and tell me I'm gonna die. Like, get away. So what I really wanted to do was do something for longer.
Hmm.
And I'd always had this calling. So I fell in love with Ibiza at 18. I went to Ibiza on holiday, was like, I'm home. Like,
Yeah.
I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I'd done seasons, and I was always, after the seasons and coming back into the rain and having to rebuild your life, I was like, I want to live there one day, but I don't want to do a season. I want to live there.
Mm.
And I always had this thing in the back of my head, one day, one day. And I'm one of these people, like, I'm like, why wait? Like,
Yeah.
you can go your whole life going, oh, one day I'll do that thing. And I remember I was on my way into the studios, because our studios for psychic TV used to be in Great Portland Street, just off Oxford Circus. So it's like right in the thick of London. And I used to go via Victoria Station. It was a really grey day.
Yeah.
And I was getting pushed, people are just like pushing by you. And it was like, I was like, woo, woo, all great. And I was like, what are you doing, Lucia? When
Yeah.
is your one day? This is your sign. Something just went click.
Light
And
bulb.
light bulb was like, I'm moving to Ibiza. But what I wanted to do, I was like, I had no idea what I was going to do there. So I had this idea that I wanted to take the psychics that I'd worked with and do actual longer. And this is again going back 20 years. Retreats weren't a thing like they are now either.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do longer development because when you're in it, you want to be immersed. I was like, it needs to be 7 days. Like when I did that weekend, and I'd done quite a few other workshops along the way, quite a lot actually. And
Yeah.
you're in it, and then it's over, and then you're back into the real world. And I was like, I want to be in that world and for longer. So I
Yeah.
thought 7 days and Ibiza's got a very beautiful spiritual energy as well. You feel the energy there, it's crazy.
Mhm.
So that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I did. So I left. I remember going and leaving Psychic TV. I was like, "You're mad! Why you've got?" I was married at the time as well with my ex-husband. So I remember going home and being like, "We're moving to Ibiza." It's like, oh my God! So I gave myself 9 months to plan it all. From that
Yeah.
was the winter to move there the following summer to start to set everything up and get everything in place. And and yeah, it was like you're leaving, and it was a hard decision to leave the TV and to leave that show because, like I said, it was like family. It was like it was cushy, but I've got a very growth mindset.
How long
And
were you doing that for then? The
5
presenting?
years,
5 years.
yeah, 5 years.
Mm.
So from 2005 to 2010.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a long time. That is like really building something within 5 years.
yeah, it's a long time, and I got to the point I'd reached the highest pay bracket I could reach. There was nowhere to go, and I'm not the kind of person to sit back and have an easy life.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I was. But I'm always like, I need a challenge or there's like to grow. I was like, what can we
Yeah.
achieve? What can we do? Like, let's go, let's go. I've got that mindset. You'll
Yeah.
know.
I
You
definitely
work-
know. Yeah.
you
That's
worked
such
with me.
that's so
Yeah.
special to have that because
Yeah.
not many people do have that.
Yeah. And I have questioned that, over the years. I'm like, why can't I just be normal and be like content? I'm
No.
like, actually, a book that really helped with that actually was the Chimp Paradox.
Mm,
And he talks about the two different types of brains, and I was like, oh my God, yes,
yeah.
that's it. Some
Yeah.
people don't, some people are like the here, and that's abs they're happy and they're content, and that's amazing. But some of us won't be content with that. We've got
Yeah.
this, we're always looking to evolve and get more
Yeah.
enlightened, and that kind of searching for that growth.
Yeah.
So yes, I moved to Ibiza and I started a business, does what it says on the tin, called Psychic Retreats.
Love it.
So my spiritual journey was developing a lot more then, but I felt like my purpose was to facilitate and to help other people because there wasn't a lot of spiritual development stuff out there.
Mm,
And as I said, a lot of it was quite outdated. It wasn't something that, and it was a lot of workshops rather than an actual retreat.
yeah.
And there wasn't anything else out there, a retreat where you psychically developed.
Yeah.
And we did. And so I had a beautiful villa in Ibiza. And I so each week we would have one of the different psychics from the
Amazing.
TV who would come and host it. And I
Yeah.
was talking to a friend actually about it yesterday. And I love hosting. I love events. I love hosting, but I love the attention to detail. I wanted people to feel really, really special. So everything from the catering, we had like fire shows, beautiful like fire shows around the pool at night. When they booked, they got these scrolls through the post, like that they open with all these crystals in. When they arrived, they had like personalized robes and
Wow.
gifts on the bed. And yeah, so I didn't make a lot of money at the beginning because I
Yeah.
spent
You
it all.
spent it all.
But people had an amazing time. And again,
Yeah.
that's before, again, the internet wasn't out there. So like back then it was like old school marketing and I'd studied marketing. And so what I did to kind of get it out there was so I contacted, there were two big spiritual magazines, one called Soul and Spirit and one called Predictions.
Mm,
And I learned a lot. Like I subscribe to those magazines. I read them every month and I learned a lot spiritually through that and connections and hearing people's stories and
yeah.
through books and magazines back then. That was kind of how you developed your knowledge and obviously
Yeah.
being in the world with the psychics and in-person development. So my ability was getting stronger and stronger, but I still wasn't stepping into that because
Mm,
again, I felt my purpose was to help other people to
yeah.
see there. So at the time as well, so I'm going on a tangent here as I probably will a lot. My sister, so I'm really close to my sister who George,
Yeah.
and she's really psychic. She's always had that deeper psychicness, and she was starting to go through some stuff herself.
Mm,
And she was starting to know things, and it was starting to freak her out a bit. She was like, "How do I know this?" I think one of their friends one of her friends phoned her and she was like, oh yeah, that person's here. And they went, how did you know that person's missing? I hadn't even told you that. She was like, I don't know. Like it just came through. So she was having a bit of a freak out about it.
Yeah.
So I thought, this is why I'm on the show, because I can then ask the psychics and guide her.
Mm.
And so I was like, okay, that's the purpose. And my purpose is to help other people to have this support, because
Yeah.
it's scary. Like if you're starting to see things or hear things, you're like, am I going mad? Like your
Yeah.
spiritual and personal development isn't like, and spiritual enlightenment isn't this like, oh yay, we're all gonna walk through the fields and skip and hold hands.
So true.
I can swear, can't I? Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah.
brutal. Like it
Yeah.
is. It can be lonely. It can be scary. You've got to heal. You've got to like all your shadow sides have to come up when you go on your own healing and spiritual journey.
Yeah.
It's not this like let's all go to Disneyland and
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
it's a roller coaster. You've really
Yeah.
got, it helps you to grow. Like us, I believe our souls are here to evolve.
Mm.
So yeah, so I felt like that was my path to help other people to
Mhm.
understand their gifts. Because the thing is, with a psychic ability, everybody is psychic.
Yeah.
It's something each and every one of us is born with.
Yeah.
Our intuition is there. We all have this connection. Some people naturally have it a lot stronger. Some people it's more hereditary if they've had it in their family and they've opened up that door. It's kind of like a portal, you open it up and
Yeah.
so they've naturally got it. You see it. And I think now you're hearing more and more younger kids are starting to feel, younger kids are coming from remembering their past lives. I love reading stories about that. I'm like, oh my God, there's so
Yeah.
many of those kind of, and there's a lot more, and then now there's a lot more awareness about it anyway.
Yeah.
Mm,
There definitely is. I think it's become much more accepted as well, hasn't it? Like, I
yeah.
think it used to be, like you said earlier, very kind of a taboo subject, which if you
Mm,
dare speak about it or say that you've got that within you, people would look at you a bit funny. Whereas now, if so many people are recognizing that they do have it within themselves, I think because of how it has developed over the years, and now it's almost like the opposite. If you have that within you, people admire it and they're like, oh my goodness, like I want to know more, teach me more. That's
yeah.
definitely what I've noticed anyway.
Yeah, and it's a muscle. I always say, like your intuition, because ultimately it's your intuition. You're
Mm,
tuning in. We've got the answers within us, so, and your intuition. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
mm,
A lot of the work I do now is helping women to really strengthen their intuition, to trust themselves, to trust their gut, to listen to that. And
yeah.
again, I think it is more it's not naturally stronger. I don't know what word I would use for that.
Mhm.
In women, women are
Yeah.
typically more intuitive. Men are as well, but I think women, because we're more emotional beings, when we're
Mm,
more here, when men are a lot more here.
yeah.
Again, all of it goes back to cavemen times and like survival. That's what we're programmed to do as humans with our brains and our
Yeah.
physiology. But yeah, I think the more you use it, and people are waking up to that now. It's
Mm,
very it's very mainstream. So you see a lot
yeah.
of people talking about it. So it gives people permission to open that up. But 20 years ago, that was not the case.
No.
It really wasn't. And it's funny because when I started psychic retreats, I put out there again. So I put it out in the magazines. I had sorry, I'm going to go on a tangent. Coming back,
Yeah, go on.
bring it back in. So yeah, I wrote to the predictions in Soul and Spirit, and I offered them a place for one of their readers, a competition for them to post it into the magazine.
Okay.
So a free place for one of their readers, and obviously they promoted it. So this is the retreat, da, da, da. And I offered their editors to come and review the retreat
Hmm.
again in exchange for them to put it into their magazine. And they both did that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And one of the ladies who came, Alex Wenman, she's still a dear friend of mine. And it was so lovely. So she was the editor. I think it was Prediction she was the editor for. So she came out and she was kind of opening up her spiritual journey. It wasn't really at the forefront.
Mm,
And I just remember her having that space and doing the work to develop that week. The stuff that she started to see, she was really naturally gifted, but she'd never explored it.
hmm.
And she started to see, like, literally, she could see her guide, like this red Indian walking through the wall at her, just like, oh my God, it's
Oh
like it's
my
3D.
God.
And normally, if you were at a table, we were having dinner, and you couldn't say that. But it was such a supportive community where we could all go, oh my God, I'm seeing this, or I'm feeling this, or I'm hearing this. And I think that in itself opens yourself up, but you give yourself permission to open up that
Yeah.
space side of you. But
Just
we're
on
still,
just on
yeah,
that, sorry, just I just want to interrupt you there because I think that's a really important point, what you were just saying about you either see it or you hear it or you feel it. And I remember when I first started to get to know you, when I was learning more about all the spiritual stuff, and I remember saying to you, I remember asking you, what, like, how will I know? Like, will I see something? Will I hear something? And I remember you saying to me, it does, I don't know. You might see it, you might feel it, you might hear it. You've got to be open to wherever it's coming from, but you will just know within you that that's what it is.
yeah. And so there's the difference. They call it the senses. So you have clairaudient. So when you hear, and when you so what you're hearing is whether we call it spirit, if you've got a spirit guide, is your own, your higher self, your intuition, and so you'll hear, but it's not necessarily. People think it's going to be like this big voice, like "Hello, Lucia, I am your spirit guide." Right. A lot of the time, it's your own thoughts as your own inner voice.
Yeah,
You start to differentiate
yeah,
between what is your own internal dialogue and then what is coming through, what messages are coming through.
yeah,
It might be a slightly different voice, but yeah, people are waiting. They're like, I've not heard the thing, but I heard kind of like I know this thing.
yeah,
So that's clairaudient. Clairvoyant is when you see, when you get more images. And again, it could be with your open eyes. You could start to see stuff, but it's more when you close your eyes. So you'll see a lot of psychics, they'll be closing their eyes, and this is your third eye. So it's
mm,
the vision that you will get here.
mhm,
And images will start to come through to you. There might be colors, images, things that come through.
mhm.
The clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient is when you feel like I feel like this, and I get a lot. I'm actually more clairaudient, which is quite surprising because I'm an artist and visual. I like visuals,
Yeah,
but I hear more, and I
okay,
get a lot of messages in music. I get a lot of frequency pitches in my ears as well from it. But I get a lot of feelings. So if I do, and I don't really do readings for people anymore, very
mm,
far and few between, but I do bring it into my coaching. I do channel stuff for people. But like feeling wise, I'll be like, suddenly I'll get this feeling where I feel sick, like, or
right,
whoosh, or I feel really sad. And I'm like, once I relay that to the person and it validates that I'm tuning into them and what's happened. So I feel like you've been feeling really anxious recently. I feel like really but the anxiety's coming up, or I feel really sick, or I feel like, oh, I feel a little giddy, or like, ooh, and then like, but I know I wasn't feeling that a few minutes ago. So I know they're giving me that so I can
yeah,
relay it to the person.
yeah.
And they go, yeah, that's exactly how I've been feeling. And I'm like, okay, take it away.
Do
And
you
they take,
get those feelings? So, say you weren't doing a reading, and
mm.
do you ever get those feelings where you just kind of have a thought about somebody randomly and then you get a feeling attached to that? Or is it just when you're
Sometimes,
doing readings?
yeah, no, sometimes I do. And it kind of, yeah, you learn to control it.
Mm,
And you're not, if you walked around all the time and you're in a busy place and you're picking up other people's energy all the time. But so it's only really if I need to know that,
okay.
or I feel like, oh God, I just feel like I don't, this is something feels off,
Yeah.
and then I'll ask where to be guided. Well, I need that. Or if I go past somebody and I'm like, oh, I'll see a friend and they're like, yeah, I'm really good. And I'll give them a hug and I can feel the sadness of in them. I'll be like, look,
Mm,
what's going on here?
yeah.
I do feel stuff, but I tend to close it off a lot of the time because if you do that all the time, you just get your energy drained.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people that I speak to, when they kind of learn about that, because everyone, as I said, everyone's got it, whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously. It's something that we have within us. If you're energy sensitive or an empath and you feel the emotions of others, then you can get drained. Most of those people get burnt out.
Mm,
Yeah, burnout, I suppose, is the biggest thing, but they're exhausted all the time or they're really
yeah.
tired. They don't know why. But it's
Yeah.
because they're picking up all this other energy of other people. It's like I would say, if you can, because we can't physically see energy as such, but if you imagine it like dust,
Mm,
and you imagine you've got your aura around us, and this isn't woo-woo, this is like an aura is an electromagnetic field that each and every one of us has, and that can be measured within science. I love to back up science, and I think now more so science and spirituality are coming together. A lot of
yeah.
stuff that we've said in spiritual world, they're like, oh, yeah, woo-woo crap.
Yeah.
Science is like, oh, this is this is this, and we're like, that's
Yeah.
what we've been bloody saying. Now
Yeah.
it's like being validated. But you imagine you've got your aura around you, and energy is everywhere. And it's like, imagine so that energy is getting stuck on you. So imagine you've got all this dust on you, and that dust is like, if you didn't dust your home for a month, you would see the dust everywhere. And that's
Yeah.
within us. And it gets heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier.
Mm,
Yeah, it's important to cleanse your energy
yeah.
regularly
I'm
and the
definitely
energy in your
empathic.
home. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that. And I even have now that I'm aware of all of this information, it's a bit easier to deal with. But I remember before I was, before I'd done any kind of research or spoken to you, or, I'm talking a few years back now. And I remember sometimes I'd be around certain people and I'd start to feel anxious or just not myself. And I was so confused because I was like, but I know I'm okay. Am I not okay? Why am I feeling that way? And eventually I learned to understand that actually that's not even my own feelings that I'm feeling. I'm literally picking up other people's energy.
Yeah.
And
So
it's,
many people are going through life like that as
yeah.
well.
And it can be scary. And when you don't have any clue about this stuff, that can lead people to think there's something wrong with them because it makes no
Absolutely.
sense.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think once you go, you understand spirituality,
Mm.
and then there's a lot of kind of you have that old kind of like the kumbaya kind of everyone sitting around with that kind of witchy vibe. I think it's very like normal. It's a lot more normalized now. I think people would be a
Yeah.
bit like, well, that's not my vibe, but now
Yeah.
it's being more normalized, which is great.
Yeah.
And again,
Absolutely.
now a lot of that's come through. People are understanding energy, they're understanding frequencies,
Mm.
how frequency goes in with like we are all energetic beings. We're
Mm.
electrical beings, we are all pure, everything is energy. Again,
Yeah.
science is now going, okay, everything is vibrating at a certain frequency, everything is energy, energy can't be destroyed,
Yeah.
it just changes form. So all this spiritual woo-woo stuff that I've been kind of doing for 20 years, now it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, everyone's like, yeah, yeah, I get that, I get energy now.
Yeah, it's
Yay.
so true. I actually literally just yesterday posted something on my Instagram story. I saw this little like video meme thing, and it said, I don't understand how people are so happy to just accept that things like Wi-Fi, electricity, all
The
these
one with the frog.
energetic things. Yeah,
The frog. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I posted that a few weeks ago. Yeah.
yeah, all these things, you're happy to accept that that exists, but when you're talking about your own energy and your own frequency, everyone's like, "What? That's a load of magical woo-woo."
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. And I think when people can see, because it does sound a little bit woo, because we're not
Yeah.
taught this stuff in school. We should be taught this stuff. It should
Mhm.
be textbook standard because it allows us to be in our power and how fucking powerful we really, really are as well. So of course it's not
Yeah.
being common knowledge because if we're all walking around knowing how freaking amazing and
Yeah.
powerful we are, then people aren't going to be as easy to conform.
Exactly.
So that's a whole nother topic anyway.
Yeah.
But
That's a whole
it's
other podcast.
yeah, but I think with frequency, people can relate it to something tangible.
Yeah.
So what I'll always say is like if you so you most of us have now got a car. So when you go your car remote control, your key, you
Mm.
go tink tink, and that key will open my car,
Yeah.
not the other cars, because it's programmed to the same frequency.
Yeah.
So that you can understand. You're like, okay, yeah, that is frequency.
That's a really good way to
Because
describe
it's
that.
yeah it's exactly the same way. Or a radio station, you change your radio station and it tunes into a particular frequency and that sound comes out.
Hmm.
See, things blow my mind. Even like I'm like, how does a TV work?
Yeah.
How is that person in a little box? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
When you sit and think about everything blows your mind. But we take it, oh yeah, yeah, we're talking now. And people are like, well, how can you do distant healing on someone on the other side of your world? I'm like, well, I'm talking to you on Zoom on the other side of the world. So
Yeah.
we're all connected. And
Mm.
that is frequency. We're all connecting. This broadcast is now working because of frequency.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
all, and that's spirituality. And when we talk, so what I learned very on with spirituality was the spiritual realm is on a higher frequency.
Hmm.
So we need to raise, when you start to work psychically, you'll raise your vibration so that you can communicate on that frequency with them.
Mm. Hmm.
So again, so that before I really understood frequency, I understood that principle that it's a
Mm.
higher, that's how we connect into the higher frequency. And I know when I've gone through kind of shifts in my spiritual journey, I get this really crazy, and I had one recently actually, like it's so hard to describe. It's like the sound comes through my ear. It's like this really high pitch, like it's quite painful. It comes through one ear, then it gets sucked into the other ear, and it's really painful. But then I see new colors.
Oh, wow.
And I had that one, I had it recently, and I was like, I think I'm like, and I kept saying, this is spiritual, take it away. I
Yeah.
was like,
I
is it?
don't
Or
want
do I
it.
need to go? Do I need to go to the doctors because my ears are really hurting now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a frequency, like your energy is you're tuning into a different freak. You're kind of
Mm.
freak. You're I don't know, vibrating at a different frequency. You're getting
Yeah.
unlocked, I suppose, so you can start to hear higher planes at a higher frequency.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
kind of is, apart from the pain bit. The pain
Yeah.
bit, it's like, but then
Yeah.
it's like the pains bit. It's like the sounds being sucked out, but it's just like, I remember the first time I was like,
How long does that last for, that feeling?
the first time it happened, it was about 20 minutes.
Mm.
I
Oh,
think
wow.
time, I'm not very good with time anyway. Kind of time, that's another sign, a spiritual sign as well. Like time is so relevant.
Yeah.
Um, but the last time it was hours,
Wow. Just
hours. I was like,
constant.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It dulled down after one. It was so weird because I walked into this meeting, and as soon as I walked into this meeting, it happened. And I was trying to think, okay, we'll go in a minute, we'll go in a minute, and it just didn't. And it was like the whole of my head then. And I was like, and I was afterwards, I was like, okay, I need to go to the doctors. Is something
Yeah.
happens in my ear? And then
Yeah.
it did the thing again. I was like, okay, no, it's a frequency upgrade.
God, that's crazy though, isn't it? And that goes back to what we were saying before. When you're not aware of that stuff, I wonder how many people are experiencing that, not knowing what they're, because that's a talent. I like to say what you have is a talent, and I know it is, and like for you, everyone has the access to all of this information and to be able to do all of this stuff and know these bits of
It's like
information.
university as well, isn't it? It's like I feel like I've been to spiritual university. That's
Yeah,
all it is. It's like everyone we
yeah,
know. I know about maths, but I've not gone
yeah,
to university. To some people are naturally talented at maths.
yeah,
They get it and they can do that. That they've gone on to study further and become very professional in what they do. So I think it's like spirituality is exactly the same. It's something that you could develop
yeah,
and go a bit more with as well. But I think with going back to my journey, actually just reminded me of something.
yeah.
So when with the colours, so in 2008, I learned to do Reiki.
Okay.
So that was part of my own journey and my own healing journey. That opened up a whole new spiritual world for me. But
Mm,
when I started to do that, I started to get colours. So if you close your third eye, close your eyes, and you start to tune into your third eye,
mm.
I started to get purple and green were my colours.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know if I can describe it. It's like a lava lamp.
Yeah,
So the colors would come in, and you might get that if you do a lot of meditation, you
yeah,
might get the colors come in.
yeah.
So I always got green and purple. It was so beautiful. And when I had that ear the first time, and when it kind of started to go, I got this big flash, and it was a yellow. The first time I'd seen yellow.
Okay.
And then yellow is one of my colors now as well. So now I
Yeah.
see all colors, but yeah.
And all those colors have different meanings, don't they?
Yeah, I've always been again part of that working with the psychics. I started to learn about color therapy. I learned a
Mm,
lot about crystals, color therapy. And so I've worked with that for 20 years now, all of that
yeah.
knowledge.
Yellow,
And
is yellow abundance? What's yellow?
yeah, yellow's linked to your solar plexus. So it's to do with
Okay.
your energy center. Yellow
Yeah.
typically, I mean, I'm a Leo, so yellow or gold is one of my colors as well. But
Yeah.
it's the color of it's like sunshine. It's
Mm,
an energy color.
okay.
You've got a lot of stones like citrine, which are more yellow colors. A lot of the abundant stones are typically more around yellow.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know. I know a little bit about the colors, but then I always forget, and it's something that I want to. Because I've more recently started going and having Reiki on a more regular basis, and whenever I've done things like sound baths and meditation, I do see colors, but I there's not like a set color which I'm always seeing. I often see different things at different times, and that's definitely something that I'm intrigued to kind of learn a little bit more about and get more familiar with.
Yeah, I think there's a big calling. Had a big shift,
Mm,
or not. There has been a big shift over the last definitely the last 5 years
yeah.
or so. I feel like the world there's so much intensity in the world.
Mm,
There's always been a battle. It's always light and dark.
yeah.
There's always the darkness and the light, and they're like, I'm a light worker, and you're
Mm,
here to bring the light. But what I feel that really is like where there's a lot of darkness and heaviness in the world. I feel spirituality can be that beam of light, can be
yeah.
that little ray of light to kind of to lift people.
Yeah.
But there's definitely been an awakening. More people are waking up. You hear it's like, oh, there's an awakening, and more people are starting to remember their soul journey. They're starting to
Mm,
remember the reason why they're here.
yeah.
There's a calling. People are stepping into a higher purpose. Like the amount of people I know who used to be either like party people back in Ibiza, and now they're healers or they're
Yeah.
teachers or coaches, and like
Yeah.
people have left the corporate world, and they're like, I felt like I need to write this book, or I need to,
Yeah.
step into this path of helping. There's like this service, like people want to
Mm,
help people, and I
yeah.
feel like that's this whole new way of doing it. It is this like, yeah, it's a calling, the soul
I've
calling.
just
Like,
had shivers literally all over my body as you said
yeah.
that.
So do you know what shivers are? The shivers.
Spirit,
So
is it spirit?
no, it's so Spirit actually told me this a while ago, and I
Yeah.
kind of it made total sense because I've always been like, oh, I've got the goosebumps.
Yeah.
When I work psychically and something connects, I'm like, yeah, I've got the bumps, I've got the bumps.
Okay.
It's your soul resonating.
Okay. So your soul's going, yeah, that's you.
Yes, it's true, your truth. When
Yeah.
it's resonating in truth. So that's why sometimes you get a song and you're like, oh my God, that song, I got the goosebumps from that song. It's like
Yeah.
your who you are as an essence, your soul is resonating with that word, whatever it is that you heard in that moment, or you felt in that moment, or you saw. It's like that's truth. That's your soul's truth.
Yeah. So it's basically you take it as
It is, yeah.
confirmation. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it all over my
Oh,
back now. I get it a lot when I get it a lot on my shoulders
I
now.
get it when I'm getting it again now. I get it
Yeah.
like here and it just comes all
Ooh.
the way
Oh my
down.
God, it's like all my whole back is like it's quite fun as well.
Yeah.
I had this like a couple months ago, probably a bit longer than that now. I was at a meeting. I do a lot of networking meetings. I love beautiful women, heart-centered groups.
Yeah.
And I've started to talk about, I can't remember what it was. It was probably the work that I do. And the lady, there was three of us, and she started to get the goosebumps. She started to get the goosebumps. We were literally had this goosebump chain.
Oh my
I think
God.
sometimes with souls, our souls travel in groups. Like your souls have known each other. And right away, I was like, our souls have known each other before. We had this soul resonance. It was like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
well, all of us were like, oh my God, we start stopping. And people must look at me,
Yeah.
what are those three up to? We're like, oh, little weirdos in the corner. We're like,
Yeah.
God, I'm vibing, I'm vibing.
Yeah. But I can look at people in my life, you being one of them, where, you know, we've not known each other forever and ever, but when we see each other and when we're connected to each other, it just feels like we're meant to be in each other's lives. And there's such a bigger purpose of us connecting and being together. And I think that's when you really know who your people are, isn't it? When you get that feeling of, yes, I feel like I've known you forever, or I feel like this is just meant to be as it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, and how many times have you met someone, or I think but a lot of people, if this is like a whole new world for you, and you're like, oh my God, all this stuff is blowing my mind, I've not heard it before.
Yeah.
You would have definitely, there's certain sayings that people say, and you're like, oh my God, I met this person, I felt like I'd known them forever.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guarantee
Yeah.
90% of people watching this have said that at some point in your life. That's a
Yeah.
soul connection. And you
Mm,
talk about, oh, they're my soulmate, that kind of meeting the one, but your
yeah.
soulmates come in many different shapes or form. That
Yeah.
sometimes people will come into your life and it's a soul contract to teach you something or to learn or to grow. And it's
Mm,
not always the nice thing meeting your soulmate sometimes
yeah.
because maybe it is you've contracted to come back at this time for them to shift something in you or
Mm,
to bring something up. But your souls, our whole purpose, and what I've learned with life is that our souls are here to grow.
yeah.
Earth is like a university. It's like the
Yeah.
soul university. And it's the hardest journey that we can go on, and in the spirit world, they're like respect. If you're going to come down on earth, it can be
Yeah.
fucking hard,
Yeah.
but we're here to grow and evolve. The more our souls grow and evolve, if you think of your soul as eternal and it's going through this timeline, it's like its purpose is to grow and be enlightened and to learn and
Yeah.
to evolve. And the
Yeah.
more you have young souls, and people are like, oh my God, they're an old soul, that person.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that
Yeah.
saying?
Do you know what? My niece, she's 7 or 8. I think she's actually 8 now. I always forget how old she is, 7 or 8. And since she was like 3, that I've always said that about her. Like the things she comes out with, I'm like, what? Like it's like I'm talking to an 85-year-old. Some of these things that she comes out with and the way that she speaks about things, but like in the most beautiful way. And I get that with her, and I think that there's a crazy connection there between her and my dad's mum, who passed away, many years ago.
Like he's got his figures then as well.
Did you? And that's
Yeah.
actually my dad's mum was called Helen, and Saskia, my niece, her middle name is Helen. I just feel
Um,
like she's
oh
also who
yeah.
I share my birthday with. She's my little twin.
Look at all the little
So
synchronicities. And that's the other thing, isn't it? Synchronicities.
yeah,
That's the
100%.
spiritual signs. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's so much to it. But yeah, so many of these little sayings, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's all these little things you just say off the cuff, like, oh, I feel like I've known them forever,
yeah,
or they're an old soul,
yeah.
a deep soul, and it is. We are, and there's a few films like that. There's a lot of I love like animated, cartoony, like Disney, not kind of Disney
Mhm.
necessarily, but there's so many kind of kids films that have got so many beautiful messages in them. And I can't
Mm,
remember what it's called. I think it might have been called Soul.
yeah.
The guy was the soul, and the guy dies, and his soul, he was like a musician. I can't remember the exact
Okay.
name. That a lot of the things you'll watch these things and it's all the same message. It's
Mm.
all connecting the dots. And it is, I always felt like it was like this big jigsaw puzzle. And I
Yeah.
was getting all the different pieces and it was making everything make sense. It was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's there. And so yeah, it is all around us. It's all connected, isn't it?
It
And
is.
even with religion, it's all the underlying thread of it all, no matter what religion people believe in, the underlying thread is the same.
100%.
It's just been dressed in a different way,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But yeah, the underlying is the same, but it gives me so much peace
Yeah.
and so much like, that losing someone is the hardest thing we'll ever go through in this lifetime,
Mm.
but knowing that their soul goes on and you'll see that soul again and
Yeah.
you can communicate. Like I have a great medium that I work with. I'm not a medium, I'm not a psych. So a psychic medium is somebody who talks to people who have passed over.
Hmm.
And when you get a good one, you get the validation, not someone like, oh yeah, it's a bit. I always say, don't feed. If you ever go to get a psychic or mediumship reading, don't feed the psychics. Is what we
Yeah.
always used to say.
Yeah.
Don't give them information that you
Yeah.
could be, oh yeah, that you can kind of make it, especially with mediumship, and people are holding on like they're quite
Mm.
desperate because they want that message from that loved one.
Yeah.
They can perceive it until like, yeah, I can make that make sense. But you
Yeah.
want to get validation, like something so specific. There's no doubt in your mind. There's no way that person could have known that, and
Yeah.
that gives you validation that yeah, they've got this person here with them.
Yeah.
I had that. It was really weird. I went to an event recently. I didn't mean to get a medium. It wasn't like, yeah, I'm going to go there and get a mediumship reading. I
Yeah.
went to support a couple of my friends had stalls there. So I thought, I'll pop in, it'd be nice. And on the day, I had so much going on. And I was like, my head's going, you've got too much to do, Lucia. Why are you going to drive an hour out your way to pop into somewhere for an hour?
Yeah.
You're going on your own. It's okay. You've not, you haven't overcommitted to be there. If you don't go, it's not the end of the world. But something
Yeah.
in my gut was going, you need to go to this thing. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, here we go, gut. I trust you all the time. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And I ended up walking around and stopped at this desk and there was no one there, but I just got drawn to go to this desk. And then this girl came and sat down. She said, oh, I'm a medium. I was like, okay, I'm meant to have a mediumship reading. And oh my
Yeah.
God, she blew my mind
Really?
in the first like second,
Yeah.
instantly. I was like,
Wow.
and I needed that. I actually got some closure through two situations that had happened through two friends that I'd lost. And
Mm.
it gave me so much peace and closure. And I've not had a mediumship reading for years and years and years and years and years. But so I was guided to talk to her at that time.
Yeah.
It was like I walked out of there just, when you're on a different planet, it was like, oh my God, what's just
Yeah.
happened? I can't even process what's just happened.
That's
But
amazing.
it brings you so much peace, so much peace. Um,
Yeah.
and to know, I think if anyone had, I think everyone's lost someone that they love at some point. We've not got this far without losing somebody, and
Yeah.
so they are there.
Yeah.
And just to know that they're at peace
There's
as
so much
well.
comfort in that. You're so right. And I think, like you said, there's, losing somebody, whoever that is always the most horrific thing. But there's definitely comfort in knowing or believing that you are going to see that person again,
Yeah.
because it just softens the blow a little bit, you
Yeah,
know?
and that you can still communicate with them, and
Yeah.
and sometimes it might be little signs as well, little signs, and you know that they're there. Oh, I smelt the perfume with that person today. The smell is another one. Spirit
Yeah.
can communicate with smell. Spirit can communicate a lot in sound, a lot with nature and animals. We've all seen the movie Ghost as well.
Yeah.
We've all got
Yeah.
that perception, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think that's really accurate. That
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Really, really accurate.
Mm.
Really, so many things were in that film were so accurate.
I feel like I need to
Um,
watch it again to like pay full attention.
yeah, I watched it not that long. It was on the TV. I was like, oh, I love that film.
Yeah, it is
El
brilliant.
Pottery and the little
Yeah.
song. Oh, it's beautiful. But yeah, so that's like I think we never stop. Like my spiritual journey's never stopping. It's always evolving. I'm always learning. I'm always growing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny looking back on how it started. We're always and
Yeah.
again, synchronicities. Things I don't believe things happen by accident.
No, me
You
neither.
know? And you'll look back on your life and there'll be that, oh my God, if I hadn't have gone to that thing, I wouldn't have met that person, and then that wouldn't have happened. You can kind of trace back some of the seemingly meaningless moments.
Yeah.
But actually, that one moment changed your entire the
Yeah.
trajectory will change your entire life. And you got that sliding door, whether it was meeting the love of your life or meeting that friend that took you on this
Yeah.
journey. And it was like those little steps to me being on psychic TV, obviously didn't realize at the time how much that would impact and
Mm.
change half of my life and my journey, and what I've been on. But yeah, I started to started to do my own readings after a while.
Mhm.
I found it, I don't do them that often because I find it such a big responsibility.
You've done
Uh,
mine a few times.
I have, yeah. So
Yeah.
I say more than it's not really a psychic reading. I like to give guidance, and a kind of
Yeah.
coaching comes in with it as well.
Mm.
You know, there's if you want kind of a more of a psychic reading, you can go down that path. But I don't like to call it. I think for my, it takes the pressure off me
Yeah.
to go, I'm a psychic and I'm going to tell you this, this, and this, or like a
Yeah.
medium. Like all the time, people will come through to me and I'll know, you know, I was with someone today and they'd lost a friend and I felt their friend with them. They gave me a little
Mm.
sign right away. I was like, they're here.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, but I don't want to be that kind of like, you know, the girl I went to, this amazing Amy who did this mediumship reading for me. That's a whole nother league. You
Yeah.
know, for me, that's such a big responsibility.
Mm.
That's a huge responsibility. You
Mm.
know, for me, it's like it's what I feel like, especially with readings. It's telling you what you already know in a way, but it's guiding you.
Yeah.
It's not about necessarily the future. It could be a bit about the future's not really set in stone. We've always got free will and we can always change things, but
Mm.
it's helping people understand where they are now
Yeah.
and what options are available to them, or kind of getting undercover. It's a little bit like a
Mm.
detective undercover and
Yeah.
helping people. Because life can be confusing, especially if you've got a crossroads and you're like, I feel like I need to go this way, but I'm not quite sure. And then you know, I can see the cards and say like I can see this and this and this and this. You're like, yeah, that's what I was thinking actually.
Yeah.
Perfect. That gives you validation to go forward with confidence and with clarity rather than getting stuck in your head and overthinking everything.
Definitely.
That's
I mean,
what for me in my readings, what I like to do with people.
yeah, and that's definitely I've had a few with you, and I'll this has actually come from what you were talking about earlier about trusting yourself, and I'm very much at that place now, which has taken me years to get to this point where you know you just trust yourself so much that every decision that you make, you truly believe is the right decision for you. And whenever I've come to you and been like, I'd like to have a reading with you, it's because there's been something happening in my life or a few things happening in my life where I think I know, and I know the answer in my head, but I trust you so much on that level that having a reading with you always just confirms everything that I think that I've been thinking, and you give me so much kind of clarity and direction in terms of next steps. And I think
Mm.
that's what's really important, because I think even if you do really trust yourself and you do know what you want, and you know you've got that intuition and all of that, which I do believe that I have on quite a strong level, it's sometimes not knowing what to do with knowing that
Yeah.
stuff. And I think that's where somebody like yourself, especially when you've got a relationship like me and you have, where I do trust you on that friendship level as well as anything else, I think that's where that is so valuable,
Mm.
because you don't always know which way to go or which conversation to have, or you know, even though you know what you want and you know which way you want to go. And I just think you bring so much kind of validity and clarity, which I think is so important.
Yeah, and I do love doing the readings, but it's something that I'm being steered now more to work with the coaching side. Because what I
Mm.
found was it's like giving that insight, but then people are like, okay, what do I do now? And so that I found like I ended up doing a lot more kind of coaching and navigating people through that. I'm very much about action,
Yeah.
as you know, especially with the whole manifesting world. It's very like sit back and think positive thoughts and everything
Yeah.
you want to come to you. It's like work like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it. You know,
Yeah.
I always say manifestation is the process.
Yeah.
The law of attraction is what is in action. It's the manifestation is your process, and
Yeah.
that's you know within our control what we can control.
Mm.
Obviously, surrender and let it all go, but you know you need to actively be part of it as
Yeah.
well. And that's the bit that if people don't know, they can get stuck in confusion. And when we're in a place of confusion or getting frustrated, like, why hasn't it happened yet? I am
Yeah.
good. People get into that frustration, then you're
Yeah.
counterproductive Because what you know is everything is energy, as I said before, and frequency, and that's why manifestation works. It's your frequency that you're attracting.
Mm-hmm.
Your frequency is matching with the frequency of what you want. That's when things happen. So
Yeah.
what you can actively do is start to manage your frequency. But if you're in a place of worry, in a place of lack, in a place of frustration, your frequency, that's the frequency you're giving off, and you're just going to get more of that. So
Yeah.
I love to work with people now to help them through that process, to take away the confusion, to take away the frustration, the kind of like, oh, why is it not happening?
Yeah.
And actually start to look at that. Okay, well, this is the action. What can we do about this? Not
Yeah.
just sit there and think happy thoughts, because
Yeah.
sometimes life isn't all happy.
Yeah.
It isn't, and we're
Yeah.
not trying to mask that. I think there's a lot of like false or toxic positivity. And it's like, think happy thoughts. It's like,
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
I get clients coming to me going, oh my God, I had a bad thought today. Have I blown everything? I'm like, oh my God, they've got this pressure on them,
Yeah.
because it's a lot of like, especially if you're on social media, so many posts going, just think happy thoughts or think positive thoughts and your
Yeah.
life will transform. And, it's not as easy as that. Your mindset is a huge part of it, but it's not as easy as just thinking a happy thought. And,
Yeah.
you need to feel a happy thought. You can't,
100%.
you can't fake frequency.
Yeah. And
And
that's it, isn't it? It's such a,
it's,
do you know what I
yeah,
think as well? I think with social media now, and there's so many influencers now, isn't there? Like you go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, and it's just full of influential people. And this whole manifestation thing has become such a common topic over the last couple of years, and so many of these influencers and just people in general speak about it so flamboyantly, and they'll just come out with statements like, oh yeah, I definitely manifested that, I just kept thinking I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. And it's like, no, that yes, you have to think that you're going to get it, but what about all that stuff that you do behind the scenes? Like you were just saying, you've got to take the action. And it's that whole separating, and this is something which I work a lot with my clients on in terms of their mindset and whatever success they're looking for. It's the subconscious manifesting that actually is creating your reality, but then you've also got the conscious manifesting, which can contribute to all of that stuff as well. And it's knowing the difference between those two things.
yeah. And that's why people ask me what is manifestation. It's hard to put that into words, because I now I say it's a process.
Mm.
Because it is, it's like, and it depends where you are. It's a frequency. It's about you creating what you want, or co-creating what you want to achieve um, within your life,
Yeah.
internally and externally, I suppose. It's
Hmm.
hard when people, what is manifestation?
Yeah.
Making your wishes come true. I think there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
It's creating what's in your mind into reality.
Yeah.
I suppose that was how you would kind of sum it up in a nutshell, but
Yeah.
manifestation is the process.
Hmm.
It's not as easy as step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I
Yeah.
don't believe. I
No.
think there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going, yay, and a lot of the work I do, I work with vision. Because what I found as well, a lot of the manifesting work out there, or coaches, it's very much like, right, work out what you want and then you do these steps. But
Hmm.
so many people, they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So many people, what do you want? They're like, oh, I don't know.
Mm.
Sometimes they've never been given permission to
Hmm.
actually go, what do I want?
Yeah.
People have so much, especially now in the world that we live in, so much societal pressure or
Yeah.
societal kind of influence, that I want a Ferrari,
Yeah.
and I want this big house and two kids and the
Mm.
perfect husband, because that's what will make me happy.
Yeah.
People have this like, that's what I ultimately, they want happiness.
Hmm.
But we've been fed this story that this is, if you get this, then you will be happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, so when people are like, what do you want? And then I'll ask them again and again and again, and we'll go through a process that I work with. It's like, actually, what does your soul want? What do
Mm.
you want? Fuck all that shiny shit out there.
Yeah.
What do you truly want? And
Yeah.
ultimately, we'll always come back to a feeling.
Yeah. What do you want to feel is
How,
the question, isn't it,
how do
really?
you, yeah. But what is that? Okay, what's that thing going to give you? And how do you create that? Because some people feel like they attach it to a feeling. So if
Mhm.
I get that, then I will be happy. So people are always chasing this thing, and they're not living in the moment and being happy now, or creating happiness now, because they've attached it to this external outcome.
Mhm.
So it's very, and again, that's all spiritual as well. You say like, live in the moment, be in Zen, be in the
Yeah.
now, but it sounds a little bit hippy dippy, but it's so true when we can
Yeah.
really be present in our own life and be truly grateful. Because if you look back to I don't know, for me, 10 years ago in my life, oh my God, if I could like see where I am now, it's like,
Mm,
wow. And you'll look back on this, you might think, I'm not where I want to be.
yeah,
But your younger you would be like, oh my God, or comparison. Someone else will look at your life and go, oh my God, that's amazing. But
yeah,
because we have these external influences are so strong, more so now than ever, we feel like we're comparing, or we're not good enough because that person's got a bigger house, or they've got
yeah,
a better job, or their partners, or they look this way and they look that way. So we're feeling so much lack and discontentment when
yeah.
really, if we take all of those, those shiny chick glasses off, and we
Mm,
really look at who we are and what we've got, and really start to be grateful for who we are and what we've got, and who you are as a person as well.
mm,
It's, yeah, it makes me sad in a way.
yeah,
So many people are going through life, and
yeah,
people are going through some really hard times at the moment.
yeah.
But if we keep feeling in that place, and we keep told that we're in this place of lack
Mm-hmm.
and not worthy, and then we keep creating that as well. So it's like,
Yeah,
how do you break that cycle?
yeah,
Yeah, for me, gratitude has been a huge, huge part of my journey. I have it tattooed on my arm, on
yeah,
my wrist.
yeah,
Gracias.
yeah, yes.
So I read a book by Rhonda Byrne called The Magic
Yeah.
back in, I think it was about 2013. So 2000, that was when I was traveling for a year. So 2014, I think that came into my life.
And that's the
And
sequel
then
to The Secret, is it? It came after The
it's
Secret?
one of them, yeah. One of her ones, but
Yeah.
it's about the gratitude, the whole
Mm,
book. It's like we think we're grateful because the world is magical. The universe isn't punishing you. It's
mm-hmm.
like you have a bad thought, you're punishing, or you're a bad person. It's like the universe is overflowing with abundance and love,
Yeah.
but it's reflecting on what we feel about ourselves and what frequency that we're in as well. And I think
Yeah.
that's the misconception, isn't it, with it all? But
Yeah.
gratitude, like the world is, when we're a kid, and I love this, and she says this in the book, when we're a child, everything is magical.
Yeah.
It's like a magical land. You're playing with your toys, and they made up this whole imagination, and
Yeah.
life is wonderful and magical. And our imaginations are so limitless when we're a child, and then
Yeah.
life happens, and we have responsibilities, and a lot of the world is being created to make it hard for us as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then life does happen, and we do have responsibilities. We do have bills to pay. People do have to go to jobs that they don't enjoy. These are normal things. Again, I'm not saying think positive and your life will
Yeah.
change.
No.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm Glinda, the
Yeah.
good witch, and I can wave my magic wand, and it's all perfect.
Yeah.
So much of that is just so much bullshit. But
Yeah.
gratitude is one of the ways that we can change our frequency and change our reality. And it's such a practical way that's not limited, that
Mm,
doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you do, what you've got. Every single person, the more you bring gratitude into your life, the more your life will start to change, because you're not saying gratitude, you need to feel gratitude. And that
yeah.
brings you back to the present and the moment. And before I was aware of how gratitude really worked, I was always doing that. I was always I would bring things back when I got your own kind of life shit gets, you're in your own bubble, and it's like, oh my God, this
Hmm.
is gone wrong, that's gone wrong. I'd always bring it back, and I'd be like, there's people out there in the world. I used to say there's people out there in the world starving.
Yeah.
Like, I've got food on my plate. How
Yeah.
lucky am I?
Yeah.
So my problems that obviously were so big in my head in that moment start to melt away, because you're like, actually, I'm alive.
Yeah.
So I'd always kind of had that when I caught myself getting into, because I've suffered a lot of my mental health in the past. So when I catch myself getting into that mental health spiral, it was one of the techniques that I use to help bring myself back. And then I start to learn about how gratitude spiritually works,
Yeah.
and even physically with your own physical health, how gratitude works as well, how it
Yeah.
actually changes your not your structure, changes your oh my God, my brain's not working. I've had such a busy day. My big
Don't
words are
worry.
coming out. Hemoglobins, I think it is
Okay.
your immune system, to
Yeah.
how it instantly change your immune system, your heart rhythm.
Yeah.
There's an amazing Dr. Joe Dispenza. He explains this much more articulately than I
He's
could.
amazing, isn't he?
He's
He's
great, but
yeah.
I love it because he comes down. He's very science based.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are, oh, woo woo, and yeah, let's get gratitude. And, but he comes in, and Mark, actually, my husband the other day came in. He was, so Dr. Joe did a podcast with Stephen Bartlett.
Hmm.
I haven't listened to it yet. Mark came down. It's like, I just got out of the bath to tell you, like, I had to share
Yeah.
this podcast. And you know this guy, don't you, Dr. Joe Dispenza? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Me and Dr. Joe, we're like that. We've
Yeah.
been like that for years. He's always talking about all these things. And I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. But he makes it relatable to people. So, still, spirituality is a bit woo-woo. You know,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
everybody's cup of tea, and people won't
Yeah.
relate to it. They'll dismiss it. So I always try and like, I don't normally talk about spirituality this openly.
Yeah.
If someone asks me, absolutely, but I
Yeah.
do with the work I do, I try to bring manifesting back to science, back to practicality, back to
Yeah.
relatable and down to earth, rather than going out there too woo-woo. I do have the Moon Magic Sister brand as well, and that's our woo-woo brand. So we'll
Yeah.
do all the
That's
woo-woo
for the
stuff.
people who are open to the woo-woo-ness.
That's for the woo-woo lot, you know,
Yeah.
and I that is me to my core as well. But I'm you know, I'm not trying to mask who I am, but it's more trying to relate to a bigger
Yeah.
audience in a way to spread this knowledge.
Yeah. 100%. And
This
I think
knowledge is
that's,
available. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's so important because, like you said at the start, everyone has access to this information. This is something that all of us, if more people were more knowledgeable and understanding of the
Mm.
spiritual world or the frequencies and how it all works,
Yeah.
the better the world will be, right?
Yeah.
Everyone will be happier. People will, it will just be a better place.
Yeah.
And
Happier, healthier,
yeah,
wealthier. Like we
yeah,
take our power back. We get out of this kind of this confined prison that we have been, you know,
yeah,
societal prison, I suppose. We think we're free, but in a lot of the ways we're so, you know, think
yeah,
like this, do this, you can't have this, you can't be these, you know, it's
yeah.
yeah, the more we can break free from that and realize. And I think compassion and the way we see others, when you see
Mhm.
that we're all the same, like we're all energy and we're all these souls,
Yeah,
doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, you have this compassion and this love for every other single human being. Like,
yeah,
imagine if we all just suddenly sort of turn into little souls, you could just see everyone's energy and be like,
yeah,
like the wars, things, you know, all that stuff would be irrelevant because it would
yeah.
just be just pure. It would bring us back to love and back to who we really are and
Mm.
why we're all here. But yeah, that's a fantasy world that
I know.
I'm
If
carrying my
only,
being
if only.
sometimes. Yeah, but we can't control the world, but we can control ourselves.
Yeah.
And especially as an empath, like I've the last couple, you know, 6 months or even years, it's been so hard when you see the suffering going on in the world,
Mm.
and you feel as an empath, you feel that on a deep level.
Yeah.
It can take you out the game. Like in the
Yeah.
past, I've gone down rabbit holes with stuff, especially with child stuff, and I
Yeah.
got into such a dark place because I was like, whoa. And you know,
Mm.
sometimes we have to kind of, okay, what can I control? Me
Yeah.
going into this place isn't going to help anybody. What can I do to help people? What can I do
Yeah.
that is gonna, you know, and for me, spreading that awareness and helping people understand that they do have the power. And again, it's each moment. Life is made up as a series of tiny little moments.
Mm.
As I said before, one little moment that can be seemingly quite insignificant can
Yeah.
actually change some things. But we can change our vibration and we can change our reality in each single moment. Those
Yeah.
little things and taking control back rather than being so like, I want this thing. When I get this thing, I'm going to be happy.
Mm.
Bringing it back in. How would you create happiness in your life right now? Have that as your vision. You
Yeah.
know, your vision is for your now, not just your future. It's great to have goals and work towards things, but that's a beautiful thing to have. It doesn't define you.
Yeah. Totally. And it just goes back to that, like you said, that feeling. How do you want to feel? Like I was having a conversation actually on Tuesday at a networking group that I was at. And I was chatting to a woman who is just finding her job and her life all a bit overwhelming at the moment. And she was having another conversation with someone else, which I overheard, where she was talking about realistically, she said the word realistically, my life isn't going to change. So I need to just accept it. And I was like, I know you'll agree with me here. I was like, I hate that word realistic, first and foremost. Like, who's to say what's realistic and what's not? And secondly, I said to her exactly like what you've just been advising people, Lou, like, how do you want to feel? Because even if your circumstances aren't going to change for now, you can still change how you're feeling in your situation by making a few changes around what you can control. And I could see something go in her head where she was like, oh, okay. And she wasn't quite like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. But I saw something go where she started to think about things. And she actually messaged me this morning and said, thank you so much. You've really made me reflect. And I was like, that is what this stuff is about.
Yeah.
I obviously work on I'm not on the spiritual side as much as you are by any means, but in terms of the way you're thinking and in terms of your own feelings of happiness, all of it comes down to your mindset, right? Whether it's your spiritual mindset or however you want to look at it, it's how you want to feel, and you are in control of that. And I think
But the
people
thing is,
really need to think about that.
it goes from your thoughts create your feelings.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking, and it's perspective, isn't it? You could be thinking, oh, this is really shit at the moment. I don't have the good job that I like. I don't have this. I don't
Hmm.
have that. I don't. And you can get in that spiral of lack. And this is what I don't. Or you can look at that and go, oh my God, I've got a job.
Yeah.
How lucky am I? I get a job that I get paid for. Rather
Yeah.
than being like, oh, it's a fucking shit job. So
Yeah.
it's perspective. So if you're thinking this is shit, that's shit, your feeling is going to be a feeling of discontentment, of
Yeah.
boredom, of frustration, of lack. Whereas
Mm.
if you get into that mindset, and again, a lot of it isn't even conscious. It's
No.
we've touched on before, this. It's like our belief system is what was really ruling the show, mainly
Hmm.
our unconscious beliefs, and that's programmed into us from a child.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't, it's not even consciously if you're like, yay, but there's something that keeps sucking you back. So a lot of the work I do is with around beliefs and clearing where does this come from and
Mhm.
why can't you do this? Like you said,
Yeah.
that lady, oh, this is my reality, I must accept it. And I'm like, okay,
Mm.
well, that's your reality now, that's a fact. But what would you like your reality to look like?
Yeah.
If you take all that out the window, why can't we have that? What would be the next step? How can
Mm.
we move? Because you can't go from here to here,
No.
like a lightning bolt. And again, with your frequency, you can't go from a place of, sadness and despair right up to like high frequency, I'm in joy, but you can just move up that vibrational frequency. So it's
Yeah.
like just one step. And so it doesn't seem too impossible. It's just
Yeah.
like, can you just feel like this a little bit? Or like, okay, well, what one thing could we change? You could go home today and just change, like, what's the thing that's pissing you off the most? And
Yeah.
just changing one little thing, you take back your control rather than feeling like you're out of control. And this is my cards. That's what I've been dealt.
Yeah.
That's it,
And
you know,
accepting it.
accepting it. Well, the thing is, what you believe is the truth. If you
Yeah.
believe you can change, you can't change. If you believe you can
Yeah.
change, you can change. But a lot of people don't have that person or that influence that will give them that belief or that kind of inspiration. So a lot of the time when you're in that downward spiral, you can't get out of it. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been in severe depression, suicidal, and it is when
Yeah.
you're in that, someone says, have a happy thought and give gratitude. You'll be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I want to
100%.
slap you in the face right now. So it's not as
Yeah.
easy as like, oh, let's just feel grateful or let's feel like this.
Yeah.
You can't go from the bottom to the top, but you
No.
can one little thing someone says, and it's normally someone who will come and we have to save ourselves. They will say no
Mm.
one's going to come and save you, but normally it is somebody who will come along and be just someone who will smile at you or be that kind person, or like you
Yeah.
said to that lady. And the
Yeah.
universe will have a way of putting the right person or the right magazine or the right book or the right song. It might be that moment when you hear that song and you're like, oh my God, that used to be my nan song.
Yeah.
And that it was something will just shift in you. And sometimes we get a lot of signs and it's like they're slapping you around the face,
Yeah.
you won't get them, but the universe will always be there. The universe has got your back, or that
Yeah.
one kind gesture. So the more we can look out for people and spread this information and spread kindness and help people and raise other people up, especially people who, they need that influence. And
Mm.
it does fill me with joy that there's more people out there spreading the word and to having this knowledge that is more common now to help people. you know
Absolutely.
you can only help people so much as well. They've got to want
Yeah.
to help themselves,
Exactly. That's so
but
true. That's
yeah,
so true. I just want to bring it back to, because I know what me and you are
yeah, I'm
like.
going on a tangent.
We can just chat for about 8 hours about everything. But I want to just take it back to, so you did your retreats in Ibiza.
Yeah.
What came after that then? So that was, how long were you doing that for before you moved on to that next level?
So I was doing the retreats I started them in 2000. The first year I went there, I didn't. And so
Yeah.
I was in the planning phase. So I did them in 2011 and then 2012. So in the first year, we actually won awards.
Mm,
We were up for the best retreat in the best retreat category, and the first year was insane. I've still got my little
amazing.
award from the magazine. It
Yeah.
was it said like the editor had this huge awakening when she was there. She's still a dear friend of mine. She's gone on, Alex Wenman, to check her out as well. She's gone on to channel a whole healing system, the Archangel healing
Wow.
system, and write books and cards and speaker. I've just voted for her in a category, exactly what it was now, one of the kind of like thought leader speakers, like influential speakers. And so, yeah, it's
Amazing.
beautiful. I'm still in contact with those people. And then after the first year, I was looking for a venue to host the retreats again for the year after. And I actually did some back in the UK. We did some back in the UK. I say we, so my sister came into the business with me as well then.
Okay.
The first year when I did them, she came in because she was a therapist as well. She was working out in the Alps doing ski seasons and therapy. So I got her to come in and be the therapist.
Yeah.
And then the same again, we started to do it together in Devon. And then I was looking for a venue and I got offered a venue, a full-time venue. Because I used to just rent a villa for 7 weeks, do the retreats back to back, and then I was done.
Yeah.
And I got offered a venue in Ibiza called the Garden of Light. And that was kind of like the 5-year plan. I'll get my own retreat center. I'll run them full time.
Yeah.
That's a whole new podcast on its own. I could
Okay.
tell you about that place.
Oh my God.
It was a wild 2-3 years. It was like, yeah, I could write an
We'll
entire
do another episode just on that.
the Garden of Light. Yeah, we need to get George in as well.
Yeah, we'll do that.
That's my sister. But it was so I had the center and it wasn't the dream. It wasn't the
Okay.
dream because what happened is I was in business mode. So I was running the center and the business. I wasn't hosting retreats. So
Right.
I wasn't doing the hosting, the concepts, looking after people, all the stuff that I loved. I was stuck in
Mm.
meetings about the solar panels and about managing, because we had the volunteers to work there, managing this and trying to raise funds and all the kind of admin-y things that weren't my soul calling.
Yeah.
I was like, and then there was a lot of dynamics. So we had a lot of different energy. There were 12 people living there from all different nationalities to help run the center.
Hmm.
That was in itself, you could write a book about that and the different energies of different business partners we had. I was going through a breakup with my ex-husband at the time for all that. We were all lived there full time.
Wow.
We
That's a
were there
lot.
7 days a week in the middle of nowhere, running off solar that kept running out. So there was a lot of dynamics. It was mental.
Oh
And
my
then you
God.
throw in, let's get a puppy. Let's get a kittens. Let's throw that into it was mental. It was like, I look back now, but I started to have a nervous breakdown. I weighed 6 stone. Pictures of me, I was bone. I was literally like, you could see all my
Wow.
bones. Now I know about the nervous system. I was in constant fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
I was like, anyone would talk to me. I was like, you wouldn't recognize me. On the outside, I was a swan
Yeah.
in the outside world. But my friends and family, they knew me and they could see, like, they were like, what is going on? You literally look like
You're
you're
not right.
I was bones. I was
Mm.
bones. And I wasn't myself. Obviously going through a breakup as well.
Mm.
Hadn't come to a head at that point, but obviously the signs were there as well to have that dynamic thrown in and living together and working together and
Yeah.
finances as well, trying to manage. Oh, it was just nuts. It was absolutely nuts. It all came to breaking point. So we were there, we had some amazing happy times there as well. Don't get me wrong, we did some beautiful things there.
Yeah.
So many people still come to me like, oh my God, I had the best time at the Garden of Light. And I'm like, oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah. You're like,
We did
glad you did.
we did some beautiful things, and we did do some beautiful things, but a
Yeah.
lot of my memories of it were that, and I don't even reckon it was like a different life. I don't recognize who I was by the end of it, but it wasn't the dream. I
Yeah.
was like, I need to step away from all of this. So literally change my entire life. And you know what? One of the things that I did, and I teach this a lot now, I did. So there was a newspaper, a brilliant newspaper in Ibiza called the Happy Paper. I can't,
Mhm.
they told her, which means the good news. So they only have good news.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful conscious newspaper, and we used to write an article for them each month. And it was like kind of like a lot like you would do now. So it was content, but it was
Yeah.
promoting ourselves without promoting ourselves, but talking about what we did. So,
Yeah.
and the whole concept of our article each month was the pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of research into, happiness, psychically, spiritually, scientifically, like all the different forms. And one of the things I obviously now I know intuitively to do,
Yeah.
I just got this piece of paper and I drew a little circle in the middle of a little smiley face.
Mm.
And off that, I started to do little lines of all the things that brought me happiness, that brought me
Mm.
joy, that made me feel good, and all those things. I went deeper and deeper and deeper on them. So rather than just friends, like what friends, what, and I call this my joy wheel now.
Yeah.
And then I looked at that and I was like, how many things am I doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in my life currently that bring me happiness, joy?
Yeah.
And it was none.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. And
Yeah.
sometimes we get those wake up calls when you see it there in front of you,
Yeah.
and it was like, I need to change my life.
Yeah.
And luckily I had that awareness. I'm that kind of person who does make bold moves.
Yeah.
I know not everyone will do that. Not everyone will just up their life and move to Ibiza. That's another, oh my God, you're so brave. But I've
Yeah.
always had that. I think losing a lot of friends very young, I've always had that kind of like, well, what if?
Yeah.
I would rather do something. Like, I'm not here to, you have one life. Like, I'm not here to
Yeah.
fuck around. Like, I want to live my life to the fullest.
Yeah.
I've always had that, like, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just come back.
Yeah, I'm very
No,
much like that as well. And it's
that's,
having that knowing, isn't it? You've got
yeah.
such a strong intuition that what you're doing is the right thing.
And it is courage. I appreciate
Mm.
and I'm very grateful to myself for that now. Before it was like, oh, yeah, that's what people do. And you're like, no, Lucia, that's not what
Yeah.
people do.
Yeah.
It has taken a lot of courage, especially to leave a marriage, to leave
Mm.
a business, to step away from everything I've known and to,
Mm.
step to the other side of the world. That was huge. But within 6 months of having that kind of epiphany, I changed my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a crazy time for me. I went on a huge journey of who I am and yeah, and changed quite a lot from then.
Yeah.
Um,
So where did
but
that
yeah.
take you to?
I
What
remember what
made
the
you?
question was then, but yeah, so I went, I didn't mean to go traveling for a year, but
Yeah, you did.
I kept my house in Ibiza. So I went to visit a friend. So I just need to get away. And I had a friend who lived in New York and I was like, right, I just need to get away to come stay with me in New York. So I went for like a week, 2 weeks and stayed there for like months.
Yeah.
Loved New York.
Yeah.
And then had another one of my best friends lived out in Australia, my friend Anna, and she was like, come see me in Australia. So I was like,
Yeah.
fuck it, go to
Why
Australia.
not? Love
I've
it.
always wanted to go to Australia. I'm like a little girl from Devon. It was like, wow,
Yeah.
there's little me going to Australia. Those
Yeah.
things happen to me, but you make them happen. And so
Mm.
yeah, again, went for 6 weeks, stayed there for 3 months till my visa ran out. I basically went round everywhere for 3 months till they kicked, and then I'd come back to Ibiza for a month, and then go back again. And yeah, so I did that for a year and started to find myself. And I really at that point, I was always asked the question, what's next? Like, what am I here to do? Obviously, I'd studied Reiki. I did a lot of Reiki healing before that, and I had my retreat center, but I was like, I don't have any qualifications. I don't have a degree, like traditional, I don't have, see people, this is their path. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But I suppose I've got so many skills from over the years. I didn't really appreciate those as much. And now I
Yeah.
appreciate so much. And I feel like everything that I've done and been through has come to a head now. All
Mm.
those skills I've learned, all the random jobs that I've had across the years, have all led me to where I am now. And I'm putting all of that into practice now. But
Yeah.
yeah, when I was traveling, I had a really profound experience with animals. And
Right.
I'd always been drawn to animals. When I was 6 years old, I had an animal charity called Save Animals Forever, Save, or
Wow.
Safe. And I made little membership cards and I took over my friend's shed. We saved snails. They were all like, they had like little codes on them so we knew which one was what. We raised money for the donkeys. Yeah, I
Oh
was
my
quite
God.
7 years old. I'm like, I need a laminator. We're gonna have membership cards. We're gonna have meetings, hosted meetings. Get everyone.
So your entrepreneurial journey started when you were 6.
Yeah, 6, 7.
Literally.
And so I always loved animals and I always had this affinity with animals. And when I was in Australia, I was like, what's next? And I kept getting drawn to animal communication.
Okay.
And I found this amazing course in America that I was going to go and study. I spent a lot of time out in America already. So I was like, that's what I need to go and do. And I had these amazing, like really profound animal community. I was communicating with animals and it blew my mind.
Oh my
Mad
God.
experiences. And then I got, there's a beautiful little shop I went to. And I got these cards and I've still got them. They are Stephen Farmer animal spirit cards. And I got drawn to this little crystal shop. And you end up, you're like, oh, I'm in this crystal shop all of a sudden. It wasn't
Yeah.
planned. I found these cards, they spoke to me, found these cards, and I went to this beach in Australia, and there's nobody else there. And I was sat on this beach and I was like, okay, give me a sign. I'm always testing spirit. Give me a sign.
Yeah.
And I pulled a card from the deck and it was the raven. And it said on the card like about you being mystical, standing in your power. It's safe for you to be, a powerful spiritual being or something. Like, I can't remember exactly what it said. So I was like, oh my God, it felt like it's a sign.
Sorry, Lou, one sec. I'm just gonna have a coughing fit. Hold on.
Oh, babes, you all right?
I
Got some
don't,
water?
I don't want to cough over you. Sorry.
A lot of talking.
Okay,
You got it.
we're good. Carry on.
You good? And so yes, I got this card and it resonated. It's about you being magical, basically. You are a mystical being and you're here to, it is magical. And then I was like, I need more of a sign. So then I opened you get a little guidebook to go with the cards. So then I was like, right, show me the raven. Open the book randomly, and it was the raven card in the book. So I'm like, okay,
Oh my God.
there's still something in me. I'm still like, I need more. Give me a more sign.
I need a signier sign.
So listen to this, babe. I'll never ever forget this moment. So then, look, there's nobody around on the beach, nothing happening. Suddenly, three ravens fly down and circle me. And it was
Stop
like,
it.
you want a sign? There's a freaking sign. I was like, okay, I
Oh
believe.
my God.
I was like, holy shit, did that. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like, you can't even talk. It's like my whole body's vibrating. I'm like, all the shivers. I was like,
Wow.
have that. I was like, okay,
That's amazing.
that's a sign. So I was really drawn, like, this is my purpose.
Mm,
This is what I'm meant to do and help animals. And so, yeah, I felt like that was my purpose. And I studied art at school. I'd always been an artist, love art, love creativity. And when I went to America, a lot of my friends, they were artists. So I was like, now's my time to pursue my art career and because I always
yeah.
had a limiting belief that, I wasn't, art wasn't something I could do to make money, and I started to get more self-development and started to learn about myself. And I was like, no, I can do this. If they're doing it, then I could do this as well. Like
Yeah.
I'm very talented. I think because I'm not a traditional artist, I'm a very abstract artist. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, that, kid could do that. It looks like shit. That old negative thought used to go, oh, you never
Yeah.
make money as an artist. That old outdated limiting belief would go
Yeah.
around my head. So yeah, I went on a journey. I was kind of in the spiritual path, but not really knowing where I was going with it. And then yeah, went back to Ibiza and ended up kind of went on this random journey.
Yeah.
So started to do my art again, got an art studio, started to work on a collection that I've still got that I haven't finished. And then
Really?
yeah, it's spiritual. It's a
Wow.
spiritual collection. It's to do with emeralds. It's a green collection to do with numerology and emeralds and light.
Wow.
Yeah, I will finish it one day. I actually went when I was in America. I went to a festival called Burning Man, which is an
Yeah.
art festival. So my dream was to have this exhibition in a shipping container and actually have it as an immersive exhibition. And I wanted to take that to Burning Man. That was my goal. I was obsessed.
That's so cool. You could still do that one day.
I absolutely will. I
Yeah.
know, well, I can see, I saw the whole collection. It was like a download. I saw this collection, what it was going to do. And I've done two of the paintings out of the 11.
Amazing.
So I was like, maybe I'm meant to be an artist. Maybe I'm meant to do this. And the course in America was a lot of money. So I was like, I need to go and make some money to be able to pay for this course.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going back to Ibiza and kind of falling into the events world out there. Like I'd been in, working obviously with having my retreat center, we hosted a lot of events there. So I'd kind of been event managing for years.
Yeah.
Anyway, and a lot of people knew me, so they were like, oh, can you come and work on this event with me? Can you come and do this? So I got into the events industry. And when I was at Burning Man, I saw people doing fire shows and poi. And
Yeah.
after that, I went to Brazil. I went out to Brazil for the World Cup and picked up poi and started to learn poi on the beach. And then I was like,
Amazing.
oh, I love this. This is really cool. Right, can I set them on fire? So I started to learn fire. And
Yeah.
bearing in mind, I'm petrified of fire. I have a fear of fire. I had a fear of fire.
Yeah.
So when I said to my friends, I'm going to start fire performing, they were like, you are joking. This is like a wind up because they know if there's a candle in the room, I'm like a
Yeah.
ninja like, watching the candle in case there's a
Yeah.
fire.
Oh my
So I was
God.
like, no, I'm going to do it. And that was a big personal development moment for me. I remember eating fire, learning how to eat fire. And this big flame is going in your mouth. And you're like, your brain is going, oh, okay, Erin.
What are you doing, crazy woman?
And it's like doing a firewalk. I've done firewalks before. So it's all about how your mind over
Yeah.
your reality. You're creating your reality and overriding that
Yeah.
part of your brain trying to keep you safe or the belief
Yeah.
system. It was like this, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Doing it. And it was so empowering. I was like, oh, this is empowering.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went back to Ibiza and I did after that kind of year of exploring and finding myself, especially that I'd been in my marriage before from 18 to 30. I'd been working in my businesses. It had always been like, who am I? So this year out of letting everything go, my identity was really rebuilding and finding myself again. So cliche, isn't it? It wasn't very eat, pray, sleep. It was like Burning Man, New York, rather than
Yeah.
going off into the mountains and meditating.
I love that
And then
though.
yeah, and then came back and it was just kind of got onto this. I was doing performing, event managing, all of these kind of not so spiritual jobs as such. I kind of
Yeah.
not lost that side, but I wasn't actively in that world again.
Was this
And
when the mermaids came in? The mermaids?
yeah, so then I was a mermaid.
Yeah.
How do you want to be a professional mermaid?
Love it.
I was in that world of the events industry. You know, my friends have got events companies, are very creative, very
Yeah.
avant-garde, like beautiful costumes and crazy events, like events where we had like giant carousels coming over the dance floor,
Amazing.
you know, with a giant shark on it. It was like
Yeah. Extravagant.
very extravagant, very well. Like we did a £1 million or €1 million party at David Guetta's villa
Oh
that
my
someone had
God.
hired, €1 million for one party, you know, and then we had the mermaids and like sushi mermaid and like Paris Hilton there and stuff. And you're organizing these like crazy events. It was
That's
wild,
insane.
you know. But then I ran a lot of spiritual areas within events. So I worked a lot for a project called the Zoo Project, and they had the Mandala Garden. So I would always help to organize that. So I
Okay.
kind of brought that spiritual side into it. And then I did a festival called the Wake Up Festival. And that was like a kind of awoken spiritual festival. And then I started working for another festival called the Healing Festival. So
Yeah.
I kind of got involved in a lot more healing. So I always had that healing undertone was still
Yeah.
there. And within all the work that I did, mixed in amongst the, you know, the extravagant kind of
Yeah.
events and stuff like that. But I will always, something always drew me back. And I always had that element of working within that as well.
Yeah. And I guess those big events that you worked in, going to David Guetta's villa, like doing things like that and working for Zoo Project in like big names, big brands, that's probably subconsciously helped your vision as well, like being part of such big movements and seeing what's actually possible.
Totally. And now obviously I'm organising my own festival. So
Exactly, which we'll talk
all of
about.
yeah, so all of that I like I said, it's like everything that I've been through and done is all coming into, you know, it's like, oh, okay, that's why I needed to do that. It's all
Yeah,
making sense. As I said, I always feel like life is a jigsaw puzzle,
yeah,
you know, so all those little pieces, it's like, oh, okay, that puzzle feels like I've got it now. I've got
yeah,
this, I know this knowing of what I'm doing.
yeah.
So I did that for years. And then obviously we went into the lockdown.
Mm,
So I was still doing events then. I was still doing all these event work. As some I got into online work, I started to learn about passive income as well, which blew my mind. I was like, yes, this is how we create wealth. So I started to work on myself. I got introduced to personal development rather than
mm,
spiritual development. It was more personal development, learning a lot more about your mindset.
yeah,
'Cause I'd always seen it from a spiritual point of view, but not a mindset point of view as much
yeah,
before. So then I started to bridge all of that together and really understand it on a deeper level. So that was where I started to go more into mindset work. Obviously, with my own journey with mental health in the past,
mm,
I really resonated with that. And I thought, okay, this is my purpose. I need to be more mindset working with
mm,
people. And then when lockdown happened, I started a group online called the Mindset Warriors, where I started to do coaching. It wasn't really me trying to be a coach, it was me just
yeah,
supporting people, going, let's all
yeah,
stick together. And, you
yeah,
know, it's kind of, you know, I think I've done videos and done lives. I've always felt really comfortable in front of the camera with my TV presenting background and
yeah,
just like, God, that's so scary doing a live. I'm like, oh, I just find it so natural.
yeah,
So I just started to talk to people, and this group started, people started to add people into, and it grew this beautiful community. And it was like, that definitely got a lot of us through lockdown together, and we built it together.
yeah,
Every day we'll go live and do a miracle morning
yeah,
and have this miracle morning call with everybody, and then just started to talk and train. Like, oh my God, I've read this book, and have you learned this? Have we learned this? And, you know, my
yeah,
knowledge started to grow. I started to do more courses. And then I was like, okay, this is the path that I want to go on.
yeah,
But then I started to learn about nutrition as well. So then I started to go like, okay, but it's your body as well. Your mind can be good, but if we haven't got our health, then we've got nothing. So
yeah,
then I went on to study to be a nutritional therapist. And I thought, okay, I want to go more into the brain and the gut and the heart connection. So
yeah.
you can see I've got ADHD. I kind of flip between, but I feel like all of these things, me always trying to find like what is my purpose
Yeah.
and
And they're
learning
all
all these
connected.
they're
It's
all
all connected.
connected, and I've had to go on this journey to do this. So that was where I was at. And as I said, I finished my studies to be a nutritional therapist. I was starting to grow an online brand with the gut health while still doing some mindset work. And I had
Mm,
another direct sales business, still doing the Moon Magic Sisters and my spiritual work. And then this is kind of fast forwarding a lot to wrap it
yeah.
up, because I've been talking for
That's
ages.
all right. Carry on.
But the last year and you were at this event, for the Moon Magic Sisters, we hosted an event it was a 3 day retreat, virtual retreat over 11/11.
Yeah.
in the lead up to it, I started to get a lot of new things coming into my awareness. A lot of things about your nervous system was there was work. I was aware of the nervous system anyway because through gut health. So
Hmm.
I'd seen it as a physical thing, but I started to get the connection with your nervous system and spirituality and unlocking your potential. And that
Yeah.
started to kind of down. I was getting all these downloads literally 2 weeks before, and all these new kind of teachers were coming into my mind and
Yeah.
concepts. And all this stuff was coming in. I was like, oh my God, I'm like buzzing, 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 buzzing.
Yeah.
And I need to share this. And so normally we did the online events. We'd get kind of between 10 to 20 people on the events. And there was a small number. I think there was like 5 of us on the event.
Yeah.
And everyone could join live at all the times. It was recorded. So me and my sister, normally when we hold space for people, whether it's an in-person retreat we do or a online retreat or just one of our moon ceremonies, we hold the space and we don't normally do a lot of the work ourselves.
Yeah.
I was like, George, we need to do something's telling me we need to do this work. And
Yeah.
there's a reason we're here. This is for other people, but this is for us. Like we're gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm just being guided. We need to hold the space for each other to go deep with this work ourselves.
Hmm.
And I had the biggest soul awakening, like because part of it was learning who we are, the soul calling.
Mm.
And we were asking these deeper questions like, what is my purpose? Who am I here to serve? Why am I here at this moment in time? And I just got this clear message from spirit, from my guides, from the universe, whoever it was coming through this message,
Yeah.
that I was a high priestess. My purpose was here to unlock women's potential. Well, they said people to unlock their purpose and their passion. I got showed in my mind's eye me with this key unlocking people, and the people, it was like they kind of woke up and they were like, yeah. And then what they did, they went on to change the world. They would create a ripple effect and they were helping people. So I was like the kind of the catalyst for them getting into their purpose and their power and their calling and waking them up. Like that's why I'm here. That's what I'm meant to go and do. Or I
Yeah.
do have their potential. Like actually, yeah, I can do this. That
Mm.
belief in them and they just showed me this ripple effect. And they were like, this is your purpose. This is why you're here. This is why you've done everything. This is why this is this moment. And now you need to do this. I was like, holy fuck. Like,
Yeah.
but I felt it in every cell of my being. It
Yeah.
was like full body, like
Yeah.
this is what I was meant to do. This is why I'm here. Everything that I've done, it was like, you see, like, when people die, you get the whole like of your whole life
Yeah.
flash before your eyes. It was like everything flashed before my eyes, and it was like, woof. You know,
Yeah.
like the film Lucy.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like it was
Yeah.
like, and it
Yeah.
was like everything made sense, but then it was like everything went, and then I was like,
Now
this
what?
sense, this sense of peace and
Yeah.
knowing and certainty like I never felt before. Just it was like, oh my God, everything else I was doing, and I didn't, the path in front of me wasn't like action steps.
Mm.
The path in front of me was so clear in the sense they would said, we will guide you.
Yeah.
When you are in your purpose, when you listen to your soul's calling and
Mm.
you surrender. So I was like, okay, I hear and I surrender. I'm here to, this is my purpose. Show me.
Yeah.
Show me what I do now. Show me what my next step is.
Yeah.
And I had this complete knowing. And the 2 weeks after that, I felt like I was walking on air. And it
That's
was like,
amazing.
I would think one thing and it would happen. This would happen. That it was like, it was like a spiritual, you get synchronicities. And I was like, oh, that was weird. And
Yeah.
that was, it was like that on like steroids. It was like
Yeah.
everything. It was like, this is
And
insane.
I think on that as well, what's so important, because I remember, just to go back a little bit, I remember before your 11/11, you did your retreats at
The
your
goddess
your
retreats.
goddess retreat, which I'm going to ask you to explain about again in a minute. But I remember being there with you, and I remember you having some uncertainty around some certain things that you were currently doing in your life, and there was a bit of like not too sure, which is often what happens, isn't it? Just before things like this happen, before you take that next level of growth and you step into that next version of yourself, there is a lot of uncertainty. And then that goes back to what you were saying and what I fully believe in too, about trusting the gut, trusting your intuition, doing the things which you believe are going to take you to that next level, and just trusting it and creating space for that to happen. Because unless you
It's
create the
alignment.
space,
Yeah.
yeah,
The alignment, things that I first started to feel things that used to excite me. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
things weren't flowing,
Yeah.
especially with my gut health brand. It was like, and we beat ourselves up. I should be doing this, and I should be
Yeah.
doing, like, I should have done this post, and I should have done that. Why is it not moving forward? Because I
Mm.
wasn't moving forward. But then I can see now, because I wasn't in alignment with it. It
Yeah.
wasn't my purpose and my path. So I was pushing and pushing and pushing, and it
Yeah.
didn't, there was so much resistance there. But then I
Yeah.
internalized that as if it was my fault and there was something wrong with me, that
Mm.
I wasn't making it happen. And then you get into this whole negative talk cycle. So I was
Yeah.
kind of in that place
Yeah.
and feeling a little bit lost and a bit like, well, what do I do then? Because I
Yeah.
don't know what my path is now.
But the
And
universe doesn't let it happen if it's not meant for you.
no, I do believe that, or it redirects you.
Yeah.
It was a redirection. But then once I had this knowing, and I was like, this is my path. I don't know how it's going to manifest or what it's going to look like, but I know that this is my soul calling. And because it was my soul calling and I've been guided to that, I knew that I would be guided to what the next step was and what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, show me. And then
Yeah.
I got this vision of me doing a vision day. And it was like I downloaded all the content in the afternoon, how it's going to happen, the time, what, everything. And I was like, oh, this feels good. Because
Yeah.
this was November. So this was like end of November, I had this kind of, yeah, it must have been about the end of November. And was it even, I don't even know. I think then it was a seed. And then the seed started to grow a little bit. And then I kind of started
Mm.
to put it out a bit. And then I remember speaking, I went for dinner with a friend, and I said, I've had this weird experience. And I told her about the 11:11, and I got this message and I told her what my message was. And she said instantly she felt this like energy go through her head and in her body. She was like, I've never experienced that before. Like, what the hell was that? I was like, oh my God, that's so weird that you just got that. Once I said, I'm a high priestess, she got this energy.
Wow.
And then we had dinner, met two other friends for a drink, told my friend, and one of them had the exact same thing when I told her, and she had it. I was like, oh my God, this
Right.
is just freaking. It was like literally life was like that, whatever. But both of those people who got that came on my vision day.
I just got those shivers again as you said
Yeah.
that.
They both came on my vision day, but they
Mhm.
gave me the validation as well, because I told them, I said, I've had this idea to this vision. They were like, we will come. Like, this sounds amazing. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, tell me when it is. I'm there. I
Mm.
was like, okay, cool. I'm onto something. Like, this is people, it's getting good, um, what's the word? Not feedback, but yeah, it's getting good response.
Response, yeah.
I was like, okay, so this, if it's getting a good response, because something you have this idea in your head, and then you're like, will people actually come?
Yeah.
Um, is this the right thing? And it was like, yeah, that was validation. Like, yes, Lucia, that was guided. This is your next step.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't need to see the whole path. We just need to see what the next step is. And that
Yeah.
was okay, trust, surrender. So I
Yeah.
put it out there, and within, I think, 2 or 3 weeks of putting it out there, it sold out. It was like, okay, like people, there's a real call for this, people. And I think the way I was articulating it and how I download when I downloaded it, it was like, people don't know, they're not clear on their vision.
Mm.
They don't know what they want on a soul level. I want to help people unlock that soul calling, or that kind
Yeah.
of that. And I thought the soul calling was more what I was going to go into, that kind of work, which I still do, but that's not the kind of it's kind of like a picture that's, again, a puzzle. It all comes back to a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's puzzled over the year when I've taken this leap of faith and this jump, how it's developed over the last year.
Mm.
So I did the first one, and then it was quite, because it's sold out, and I had some people who couldn't make that day. They were like, is sorry. They were like, can you do another one? So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do
Yeah.
another one. So I did
Yeah.
another one. That people booked that one. And then more people were like, oh, I didn't get to come to this one. Can you do another one?
Yeah.
So then I did another one in March. So I started to do them every month. And then from there, I was like, okay, this isn't just, because I thought it might be something for January. So you've got like a vision day, and people start to think about their vision for 2025. And then it just started to really develop into like, okay, and I developed during them as well. Like, I was getting more downloads. I was getting clearer on how I wanted the content to be. And I was growing through that. Like, my confidence was growing with it as well, because I was getting the feedback. People were like, oh my God, this has happened and that's happened. I've manifested all these things. Like, I've changed my life. Like, my energy has changed because of this. I'm a different person. Like, what I'm doing and like what you taught me has changed my life.
Yeah.
And then I started to do some one-to-one work with people as well. Again, at that point, it was more readings, and the readings have developed more into coaching. I've really found my passion for that and where I can add the most value for people. So that developed. And then I had this idea, and they kept saying to me, so when I had that initial vision, that download, they showed me, they said, you're going to help hundreds of thousands of women.
Wow.
And they showed me on these big stages, we're talking to a lot of like hundreds of thousands of women. And when I do my vision days, it's a 1 day retreat, I only have a maximum of 10 people there.
Mm.
And it's a weekend. So, I'm not going to do them every single day of the week, but there's only
Yeah.
so many people that I can help. And I want to keep them small because I like the intimacy of it. It's a really safe space. People can really let go, and we do a cacao ceremony. So you're getting it out of your head into your heart. And again, letting those layers. This is what I should want. This is what society says. This is what my family say. This is what I think I want. And letting go of all of those layers and getting really raw with yourself to unlock your potential. So if it's a big group, people don't feel like they can let go as much. So I like to keep them intimate. So they kept saying to me in my meditations, go bigger, go
Really?
bigger. And I knew it wasn't the vision days. And they kept saying to me, you need to do a festival. I was like, I've only been in business like 4 or 5 months. Like,
Yeah.
you need to do a festival. So I actually launched. So January this year, 2024, I started to do my first vision day. I
Yeah.
did it January, February, March, and then I was like, I better actually like get a business and actually get a name for my business and
Yeah.
do this properly because it's taken
Yeah.
off. Really taken off. And so I was like, right, I love numerology. One of the things I learned on Psychic TV, I got really into numbers and numerology and life
Yeah.
paths. And so I was like, right, it has to be the 24th of the 4th, 24. It has to. I love four. Four's my number. And it has to be on this date. So I kind of went and launched the business. And my business is called High Vibe Vision. I
Yeah.
went around with so many names, but that got guided to me. And it's about helping people with their vision, but their vibration, coming from that high vibrational state to create your vision. But that's how the brand came about. And then it was like, okay, they're telling me I need to do a festival. I don't know how this is going to work. Like, this is like huge.
Yeah.
I've never even done that in all my event experience, really, apart from doing some retreats. It was in Ibiza. Like, I know how to run a festival in Ibiza, but how do I even do that in the UK?
Yeah.
And then I was having a chat with you. I think you called me for a reading,
I did.
and then I'd had this idea for this festival mulling around, and I always put the feelers out, and I started to tell a few people and get the response to go like, okay, is this something that if people are vibing with, is it a good thing? Like, they're like, oh my God, yeah, this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely do it, because then that feeds my validation and then that takes that belief going, oh, this is, the people won't want to do that, or that's a bit like, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's going to work, because it's like, yeah, there's a call for this.
Yeah.
And put in the little energy, and it starts to build energy. Then it's like you're throwing some seeds out, and once those seeds are out, it's
That's
like,
it.
and
Yeah.
then when you randomly called me and was like, can I book in for a reading? I was like, oh, that's weird that Nat's just called, because Nat's an
Yeah.
event organizer, and I
Yeah.
love that, and I'd love to work with Nat. I see the way you work, and I'm like, she knows her stuff, and
Oh,
our energies work together,
yeah,
like
they do.
we would work well, because I'm quite particular who I work with.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've learned that from,
Yeah. You have
especially
to
when it's
be.
something, especially when it's your baby, and you want someone to come in with you on that. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, and then at the end of the reading, I was like, it's funny you've messaged me at the moment. I'm thinking about this thing. Would you be interested in coming in
Yeah.
and helping me run it? And you're like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Like,
I
woohoo.
I just loved the idea of it. I was like, everything about this, yes.
Yeah.
Just yes.
Yeah, and again, when I was starting to download, I was like, this is this is how I want it to be, not just like a festival. I want everyone to be on
Yeah.
this journey, and what they're going to get from it, and how they're going to feel. And
Yeah.
yeah, you got my vision.
Yeah.
You got it very
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
And yeah, we made it happen. It was like, am I actually going to do this? And then with you by my side, it was like, yeah, okay, with Nat doing it, because I didn't want to do it on my own, because I was
Yeah.
aware that doing things on your own, that scale, it's very stressful.
Hmm.
And in my head initially, I was going to be doing a lot of the teaching. So I
Yeah.
was like, I need, someone to be able to, you need an event manager. That was like
100%. Just the support,
logic.
isn't it? It's just a support
Yeah,
in
yeah,
general.
exactly. And then it was like, and actually, I need teachers. I was like, nah, you talk about manifestation, your mind is everything with it. So we need a mindset involved in the day. And it was like, well, obviously, nah.
Oh, yeah.
You were
Oh, love it.
speaking and organizing, and it all came together so beautifully.
Yeah.
The support and everybody, all of it was so, when it's guided, when
Yeah.
it's meant to be. It's not, you're not pushing. That
Yeah.
resistance isn't there. It's flow.
Yeah.
Spoke to them, you spoke to this is now happened, that's coming,
Yeah.
or this person's popped in, and that person can do it, and they're buzzing. It was like,
It
yeah,
feels
this
easy, doesn't it?
all
It's that
good.
that
Yeah.
easy feeling,
Yeah.
still with the work that goes into
Oh,
it,
yeah.
but it doesn't feel stressful or
Yeah.
forceful.
Yeah, it's a forceful, isn't it? Because we try and control and we push and we
Yeah,
push. And when things are in alignment, and that's what a lot I teach at the moment is about alignment. I love that word because it
yeah,
is. It's like when we're in that alignment,
yeah,
then it's. I always say that when you're fully in alignment, it's like the seas part.
yeah.
Oh, and it's like you walk through rather than being like drowning against the tide,
So true. Yeah,
getting washed around in a washing machine, like you're
yeah,
just like, yay. And but again, it's not easy work as such. You put the graft in,
yeah,
but you're not fighting against it. It is flow. And you'll get little obstacles. It's not like everything just goes,
yeah,
oh, I
yeah,
don't
of
know.
course.
Because it is life. I had that lesson the other day. I had this journey, everything flows.
Yeah,
One journey, I always get lessons in cars. I don't
for
know what,
you.
yeah, some of my biggest lessons. The other day I had one and everything went wrong. It
Yeah.
was like every little bit of it was getting it was getting comical.
Was it?
You get to one turning and then that's flooded and then everyone gets redirected and then there's something in the road there that
Oh my
everyone goes
gosh.
this way, then you get that way and the junction's backed up and you're going to be so late for this thing. And rather than getting frustrated, I had this big like thing to go, you need to go with the flow
Yeah.
and not force it or
Mm.
not stress, like manage your energy and your emotion. Because I had that fear of like
Yeah.
starting to creep because I'm late and fucking then and there. And it
Yeah.
was like, manage yourself was
Yeah.
what I got through. Manage your energies. What can you control? And then I just put my Motown on, turned it up really loud. It was kind of like I was laughing because I was like, yeah, I forgot this message. I needed this message. And they were giving me these little blocks because sometimes you do get blocks in life,
You
even if you're
do.
in alignment, a full flow state, just to remind you that it's life.
Yeah.
It is life. Shit will happen. That
Yeah.
is a guarantee. It's not all sunshine and roses and rainbows and unicorns and dancing through like the hills are alive and the sound of music.
So true.
You have moments like that, but life
Yeah.
is fucking real. Like shit
Yeah.
gets and but it's how you handle those that determines the outcome and your vibration and that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Life will throw something at you, but the only control you have is how you respond to that situation.
Exactly.
That was that message coming through today. It was like, right, how are you going to respond to this? Are you going to
Yeah.
get pissed off? Are you going to get annoyed? Are you going to turn around and give up? Or are you going to keep going? But you're going to have fun while you do it. And you're going to go,
Yeah.
I can't control that outcome. I can't control that traffic jam. Let's dance. Let's
Yes.
get my vibration high. Let's use this time and sing your little heart out. And do you do the things that I know change my vibration? And I'm
Hmm.
still feeling a little bit,
Yeah.
and it took me a bit of like, it took me about 20 minutes to get into a real genuine high vibe rather than just being like, oh, still a little, oh, this is annoying me a little
Yeah.
bit, and just getting really like, I surrender.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't control this outcome. I can control my energy because that's the only thing that
Exactly.
happened. I let the emotions come and feel that frustration and get it out. I didn't
Yeah.
try and mask it. You
Yeah.
need to feel and experience those emotions because they are genuine. It was a
Yeah.
genuine
They're there for a
frustration.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah. And then then I was like, okay, let them go now. I can't
Yeah.
change it. Let them go.
Yeah.
And so that was a really nice little reminder. And then I had one that, like yesterday when I was driving to a meeting and it was like flow state. It was like the universe would teach me another way. And it was like, oh, green light, no
All the
traffic.
time.
It's
Yeah.
flowing today. There's no traffic. And it was like, that's life. Some days we'll have those days. But when you're in alignment, you have that awareness, and it's more like the right people and the right opportunities will be placed in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with High Vibe Fest. And that's what we ended up calling it in the end, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
it was like you phoning me at that time, the venue coming in, they had the availability, this speaker contacting me, that person. It was all of it was just so beautifully aligned. And
Yeah.
I knew it was orchestrated, it was meant to be.
And even the amount of
Um,
tickets that you sold was we had the exact bums on seats that the venue could hold.
yeah,
Like it was that in alignment. There wasn't like a single chair missing or like a single person missing. It was just exactly the number.
yeah. All of it, everything was in alignment, and the relationships that have come off the back of that as well. Like some people found it randomly, and now they're really dear friends of mine that I
Yeah.
hadn't met before that. And it's so how it's connected, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's really beautiful. So I'm looking forward to 2025 High Five
Oh my
Fest.
God.
So
Yes.
we will
Bring it
be
on.
announcing that soon. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
just been finalising the date today of all days. The date came in today, and we're having this chat today.
It
Alignment.
always happens though. I messaged you a couple of weeks ago about something, or like a month ago, and then you responded and you were like, "Oh, it's funny you messaged me. I was just thinking about this, whatever it was. I can't remember what it
Yeah,
was at the time, but we're always it's just what happens when you are in alignment with that person.
yeah.
That's what happens.
Totally. And when you start to like, and so I would say to people as well, when you start to go through life and you're like, oh, it's so funny that just happened.
Yeah.
Well, that's really weird you just called.
Yeah.
Like start to change that like funny and weird to that's so aligned.
Yeah.
See how much alignment there is. And when you
Yeah.
change the perspective, well, that was weird, or that was aligned.
Yeah.
Person's
Exactly.
saying, what's this trying to tell me?
Mm.
What is the message? What does this mean? Sometimes we don't need to know the answers for it, but just
Yeah.
pay attention to go, okay, well, that's just called. Is there something here? What's going on? Feel into it,
Yeah.
trust your intuition, listen to that inner voice.
Yeah.
Whether you listen, hear, feel, see, just know,
Yeah.
like the more you tune into that voice, the more you tune into your intuition, the stronger that is going to get. It's like a volume speaker, and it'll just get louder and louder and louder. And it's
Yeah.
just like, yes. And things will start to flow a lot more. But yeah, so it's just been
Yeah.
wild since then. So I've been really guided. Obviously, my journey, as I spoke about over there, I've had my own businesses. I've been self-employed. I love business owners. I love entrepreneurs. I've had
Yeah.
it, like even before I worked in TV, I had more businesses I didn't mention before the spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so a lot of the networking I've done, a lot of the people I've naturally attracted over the last year are female entrepreneurs, business owners. So through the work that I've ended up doing, so I was like, I don't want to, I'm not, I didn't say I don't want to, I said I'm not going to work one-to-one because I need to get out to a large amount of
Yeah.
people. But I've been guided. This whole journey in the last year with my business has been so guided. I've
Yeah.
tuned in and listened and followed that guidance. And I was getting guided after High Vibe Fest. So part of High Vibe Fest, we had two tickets, if you remember. We had
Yes.
the standard ticket and the gold package where people got a one-to-one with me.
Yeah.
So with that, so I started to do those one-to-ones afterwards, and they were so profound. And I started to see how I could move that forward more, and more people will contact me, go, I want to work one-to-one with you. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, let me feel into this. How does this work? How does this feel? And I was like, okay, I need to, rather than just doing one-off sessions, I want to hold people's hand because the biggest transformation you can get is over 3 months.
Mm.
Rather than just 1 month, here you go, this is what you need to do. It was very like, I will work with you. We'll put goals and strategies in place for that first month. Then we'll meet again, and then we'll do the same again, and we'll really move things forward.
Yeah.
90% of my clients are business owners.
Yeah.
There's a couple who aren't, and they wanted to work more on their energy and getting like their healing journey, one more to attract love in their life. But generally, most people want to move forward in their business.
Yeah.
So I could see the potential of their business, and then give them steps to move, to take the overwhelm out. And a
Yeah.
lot of channeling, a lot of that, I'm like, they need to do this or that. And yeah, it's been amazing. So I was like, I'm only going to do 4 clients. And it was like, then I had more people come, can I work with you? So then
Yeah.
it grew a bit more. And it was like, okay, so I've got 10 clients that I'm working with on a 3-month basis at the moment, which is wild.
That's amazing.
Like, yeah, it's been because I'd spent so much time on the strategy afterwards and action steps, because that's the thing. It's like, okay, now this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
How do we do it? And
Yeah.
these, like, I'm a list person. I love lists.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is the action step. This is week 1. This is week 2. This is what the steps are. Okay, again, you don't need to see the whole path. You just need to
Yeah.
focus on the next step. Take the next step. Take the next step. Take the next step. Especially
Yeah.
as a business owner, you can get so overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed.
And there's so much noise, and I should be doing this and I should be doing
Mm.
that. So it just takes all that distraction away and just blinkered.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm kind of at. So I've just done an 11/11 event for free, like my
Yeah.
awakening had last year, because I wanted to
Yeah.
help people with that. But I feel for like moving forwards now, the work I've done one-to-one with people, I want to do that in a group setting so
Mm.
that I can work with more people. Because
Yeah.
yeah, for me to maintain working with 10 people simultaneously on different levels,
Yeah.
that will take up all my capacity.
Yeah. It's a
I
lot.
feel like next year I'm really being guided. I've had a book in me for a long time that I really want to share. So the
Yeah.
book, the podcast I want to do, they will be
Yeah.
coming next year.
Yeah.
And then I feel like more of a group setting. So the vision days, I'll always do the vision days. I've got them already
Yeah.
planned for next year, which are
Amazing.
great. Obviously, High Vibe Fest as well. But I want to do it business sense. I really want to help, because I think female entrepreneurs, female business owners are going to change the world. And all my clients, they all do amazing things that help other people.
Yeah.
They're all either coaches or like a one lady who does scar therapy, another lady does the Alexandra technique. So they're all helping people and they're so passionate about what they do. I've got another amazing lady who works with people who've had diagnosis. She wants to have conversations around death and helping people to accept and work through
Wow.
grief. Like just the most beautiful souls. Another lady's
Wow.
a transformational mind coach.
Yeah.
Amazing. I buzz these women. I'm like, oh my God, like thank you for trusting me to take you on this journey.
Yeah.
And I'm really helping them grow their potential and their, what they can do within their business and see avenues and, give them the steps to help them move forward so they can help more people. It's like
Yeah.
exactly that ripple effect I saw at the
Yeah.
beginning. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So yes, if I can help more people, so I want to do vision days. Well, I want to, I am going to
Yeah.
do a vision and business strategies days.
Love that.
Like I do the vision days, with more focus on your business and then the strategy, but then like a 3 month container. So I then help coach them through that as a group. And we
Hmm.
all support each other because all my clients, I'm like, you need to meet you. And it was so funny. I went to visit one of my clients yesterday. She's an amazing healer and she's got this course that she's birthing at the moment as well, helping women step into their power, like warrior
Yeah.
women, especially people who've
Yeah.
been through abuse in the past.
Wow.
And I went to visit her because I had a little, she's off traveling, so I had a little gift for her, a little Christmas present. And as I was talking, and she wants to get Reiki, she does Reiki as well into hospices. And I'm like, oh my God, you need to speak to Jane, my other client who works in hospices and helps people in hospices and people who are dying and or people who've had diagnosis or their family supports them. You guys really need to connect. And then Jane, I was seeing Jane that day. She came to my house last night for a one-to-one session. She
Yeah.
walked through the door. She went, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I said, what's happened? She went, well, you're never going to guess what's just happened. I've just bumped into your friend Kelly at work in the hospice. And she said, you saw
No.
her today and told her about me. And they bumped into each other
No way.
at the hospice. Yeah. She's like, it was so weird. We just saw each other. They don't know each other. So they were like, you seem familiar. And they were both at High Vibe Fest, the two people who bought the gold package. And
No.
they both had the one-off session with me, get the
Yeah.
good stuff. And then after the one-off session, they were like, I need to work with you more. Like, this is amazing. Like, how can I work with you for longer? And
Oh
that's when
my
I was like, okay, I need
goodness.
people need to have longer, but they needed to connect as well. So, and that's why I think having the group sessions, these people that I'm working with all need to connect and how we
Yeah.
can all support each other ongoing and
Yeah.
actually have that kind of mastermind and that business, because being on your own in business can be quite, unsupportive
Yeah.
having that. So yeah, that I feel like that's where I'm being guided to work more so at the moment. Still doing the one-to-one with, another amazing client who I'm working with, and like, it's not business related at all. So I don't want to completely just do that and go, no, I can't work with you.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's where my energy's been. That's why I can make the biggest impact
Yeah.
because the women that I know will be attracted to what I do, they're making an impact. So
That's it.
it's the ripple effect. They
Yeah.
can then help other people and
Yeah.
impact the world in such a positive way. So yeah, it's like that's all of that. What I saw is all coming
That's what
into
as you were saying earlier, you were saying, Kate, on a stage in front of hundreds of thousands of women. In my head, I'm not joking, I was literally thinking, okay, yeah, but even if you're working with those 10 women on your vision day or your
yeah,
one-to-one, those women might be helping 100 women each, or
yeah,
200 women each, or 1,000 women each, who you are helping
yeah,
indirectly.
yeah,
So, it doesn't
100%.
always come in the exact way that we think it's going to come, but you're still
Totally.
creating that impact.
That impact, yeah. But I do
Yeah.
feel like, so I'd say with the book, I do for again all the little bits that I've done. So me being a TV presenter,
Mm.
having that background, being able to then go and speak and being
Yeah.
able to do, I really
Yeah.
want to do more podcasts. I put it out there. I was like, okay, I want to do more trainings and podcasts. And
Yeah.
someone will call me, oh, can you come and do this training for our team? Or can you come and speak on this podcast as you've
Yeah.
just done? I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
those are the things that I want to do. And it's
Yeah.
all of that. I feel like I've got a voice that I could share the knowledge
Yeah.
to get the message out there on a wider scale, as well as
Yeah.
the women that I'm going to impact as well. So it's exciting. It's really
Amazing.
exciting, and I feel like High Vibe Fest is like another way to connect with more people and for them to have this transformation. Yeah, it's my soul every day. I'm so grateful. I'm just like, wow, it
Oh,
blows my mind, and it's just like
you're
it's
just
crazy.
amazing. Like I honestly, I could, we've been talking for 2 hours. Can you believe it?
Oh my God, I'm such a vortex of time.
Honestly,
It's
yeah, but
happened all the
there was no way I
time.
was going to say to you, we need to like speed this up because
Oh, I'm meant to
everything
be at a
you're
Christmas
saying.
party in half an hour.
Are you? Oh my God. Okay.
I've got to make onion bhaji's. It's
Stop
fine though.
it. Oh my God, you're
Yeah,
so funny.
I've got
Well,
to make onion. I'm going to do a
that
video
note,
and make some onion bhaji.
we will wrap it up.
Okay.
But firstly, thank you so much. Like you've been absolutely amazing, and I definitely want to get you back on because I do feel like even though we've spoken for 2 hours, we have just kind of touched the surface on quite a few different things, which I want to continue to talk about. So in the new year, we'll get you back on to talk about some other stuff. But I always finish my interviews with a question. Now,
Okay.
normally I have a specific question that I've thought about in advance, but I haven't done that with you for a specific reason because I believe that whatever's about to come out of your mouth is exactly what's meant to come out of your mouth for our listeners. So, what would you like to share with our listeners?
Oh, I love your trust in me.
Anything. I do.
And
I trust you.
I would just say like that word alignment comes through. Like find your alignment, and know that you have the power within you to do anything that you want to do. Like don't limit yourself. Trust yourself, trust your gut and the journey. Yeah, just find that alignment and you'll know. You're like, how do I know? You'll know when you're in that alignment. But yeah, don't seek validation, seek alignment.
Mm,
That will be one of my bits of advice. Yeah. And
wow.
yeah, it's about but alignment is about you being you and you being true to yourself, not trying to chase someone else's perception, but really letting go of all the noise and going, right, who am I? Who is this soul? What is
Yeah.
this soul inside of me? What is my soul calling to do? I've actually got, so I did the event on the 11/11, the soul alignment. It was a free sessions. Each session was about an hour and a half roughly, and we went through some of the techniques to help you get in tune with your soul. So I am going to put that together as a freebie. So if anyone does want to do that, then we can maybe do a link or something like that, because I feel like people got so much from that, and
Yeah.
that we need to unlock that. So it's free 1.5 hour sessions. Although it was around 11/11 and we talk about 11/11 a lot, it's irrelevant really because it's intention.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just the 11/11 date amplifies the energy, but it's the work we did, the exercises we did, and the meditations we did during those sessions will be valid and work at any time that you want to do them. So if you're feeling like I don't know what that alignment is, Lucy, and you want to go down that road, then and you're just maybe you're curious,
Yeah.
then I gifted that experience, and I will gift that. I've uploaded it onto YouTube together, so I think I'm going to put it into something that resembles more of a thing that's easy to
Yeah.
share. And I'm still
Amazing.
figuring out the tech side. I've got a great VA now who helps with all my techie stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel drawn. I said to her like I want to offer this to, because again the feedback from it was incredible, and yeah, I think this time of year we can do a lot of soul searching. Coming to the
Yeah.
end of the year, reflect on where you've been and create your vision. Where do you want to go with no, preconceived, like this is what I should do. Really listen to your soul, get into alignment, and align with your vision.
Amazing. I love
I'll
that.
stop
Like,
talking because I could
like
keep talking about this forever.
we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up there. But thank you so much, Lou. And just before we wrap it up there, I just want to repeat what you just said. Don't seek validation, seek alignment. I think that is just the best quote ever because I could not agree more. Where can people find you on Instagram, on all your platforms? Let us know.
So high vibe again. I might be having a rebrand. I'm
Okay.
feeling into that at the moment. Obviously, a lot's changed since I've done that. But currently, you can find me on Instagram. Lucia Craddock Empowerment is my main account. Feel free to follow me on that. I'm not the best on socials at the moment. I've taken a little time out from it. But there's still some good content on there. High vibe, as in vibration vision, is my Instagram, and I've also got a free group. So I have a group on Facebook called the High Vibers Hub, which I set up after High Vibe at the Fest. But that's really it's a beautiful community, and I do readings actually in there every Thursday. So if you do join that, I don't know, obviously it's a Thursday today, but I don't know when this is going to go out. But
Maybe it might be. No, it won't. It'll be Monday. But it's fine.
yeah,
They can join it. They can go the next
yes.
Thursday.
And I'll be doing a lot more in the new year in those groups and on my socials as well to get out there. So the one-to-one work's just been taking up my time and energy at the moment,
Yeah.
which I've loved. But and on you on Facebook as well, Lucia Craddock. You could find me on there, and my shiny new website will be coming soon.
Fabulous. We'll post all your links anyway in the
Thank
comments and
you,
stuff.
darling.
But thank
Ah,
you so much, Lou. You have been absolutely amazing. We'll
thank
definitely have you
you.
back in the new year
Yeah,
at some
part
point.
two.
Yeah, part two. And to all of our listeners or viewers, wherever you're listening or watching, thank you so much. Please make sure you have liked, subscribed, shared, done all the things, commented. I'm still a very new podcast, as I say in every episode. So please do keep supporting. It means the absolute world. And thanks again, Lou. You're
Thank
amazing.
you. I'm off to cook some bargees now.
Enjoy your
On
onion
this
bhajis.
Christmas jumper. Bye, guys. Lovely to
Bye,
meet you.
babes. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.